So it is.
And so it was that last time on Crimes of Nature, Exalted Essence, an Infernal fucked around and found out harder than any Infernal has ever fucked around or found out in the history of Infernals, which is rather short, but it feels like this is going to be one that is very hard to top. Last time, the schemes of the crew brought themselves to fruition as Angler went around making sure that local doctors and other sympathetic elements to the plans were informed. Better late than never, but, they were informed that they were maybe a little disoriented, discombobulated, and just why, god damn it, etc. But, they got brought in. Dr. Clearheart was around and, available, and had some complaints to file, but understood that there was a situation where you do your best, now you do your triage, and then you file your complaints. And then, Thousand Miracles Yang went to the drop location where the Infernal had promised to meet him, and had the usual standard sort of shitty villain monologue of self-inflating proportion, and then struggled with him to try and grapple him in showing him the styles of the 13 orphans. And unwittingly, as fate guided hand, or perhaps just the sheer power of Yang being Yang and the Thousand Miracles, in the Kraka, tore off an amulet that was disguising Delos, the head of the guild, as the Infernal, with the aims of getting Delos killed in the crossfire rather than the Infernal himself. At which point, everything kind of went to shit. There was a million demons that showed up. A large vitriol elemental appeared, and was subjected to an extended roasting, and then an acknowledgement of, okay, let's pretend you're an elemental. Surprise, that means that you're in my wheelhouse now, by Brother Repose. Angler beat the everlasting crap out of a bunch of demons after soaking an incredible amount of violence aimed in his direction. Obsidian Shield and Milan dynamic entried and fired artillery and just did all sorts of things that had not been fully accounted for. And the Gagixia, the little Gerblin demon that Yang had befriended, that had been summoned by your friend, used Stalwart Daughter as a literal stalking horse to lure your friend into trying to get on the horse and get away. Upon being cornered and found out by Angler, tried to chew his 11th hour super move Ace in the Hole ability of copying the powers and appearance of someone you have studied for long enough. Unfortunately for him, he picked the one person that on paper looked like it would be the most reasonable power source to steal from because he would be all-powerful and unstoppable. Except it's Sybil, and most of Sybil's abilities are revolving around not dying, and oh, right, solar abilities rely on genuine conviction and virtue, and he had none of that at all, so they just didn't really work very well for him. So all it really did was provide him more blood to get punched out of him. And a combination of Milan blowing his head off with a lightning bolt in the middle of him trying desperately to grab at Sybil's sorceress abilities to go out with a bang, led him to explode into a giant ball of hellfire and end up as a pile of greasy ashes. And with that, and the impromptu hazmat disposal by Repose of dumping it all in a hole in the swamp and letting, nature sort it out over however long it'll take, and some checking in on the Grey Robes and the local militia, volunteers, and doctors, who did a very good job at standing against a routing demon army. There were only a couple of dismemberments, no long-term, there's some long-term disabilities, but no death. That's amazing for how many demons there were involved. That catches us up to the current moment.
So I think Repose had a discussion he wanted to have with Mr. Delos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do need to interrogate the bastard.
the moment Repose is not, destructively vibrating, just kind of scoots over and procures body of Delos and
Hey, here's a thought. Do we want a secure place to hold him?
Like,
I have a brig.
yeah, you do have a brig.
You do have a prison boat in your boat, rather.
We could slam him in the brig.
You could literally throw him in the thing designed for that. Yes.
What's he gonna do?
how fast do you think he can run? Though I suppose the recently defeated did have a habit of leaving behind all manner of. We've seen in the previous account the devices, the poisons, the bits of trickery. So that was always when he felt he had had the opportunity to properly vacate his previous. Regardless, probably like just kind of hold Delos out and shake him a little bit and see if anything falls off of him.
Yeah, does he have mycrimes.txt in his pocket or something?
No, he's actually relatively, beyond his usual clothing. It seems like he had just kind of. The vibe you get from him is that he got dressed and walked out sleepwalking kind of situation, or he doesn't even have money on him. He's a guild factor. He doesn't have his purse on.
Can
That's
I
weird.
give him a sorcery sniff? See if he's got any of that green gunk still on him.
Yeah, roll me finesse, sagacity.
Does he smell like green explosives?
No, it smells like lingering stench of doom. Like, Repose can get that as well, and so can Moat, but it is very much after effects ode to doom rather than active, lingering threat. He has been pretty comprehensively, just kind of stained, for lack of a better word. It'll come out eventually, but he had his entire body and brain and possibly soul just kind of being piloted around by a demonic version of a solar. That's not going to wash out for a while.
I do believe Delos here was meant to be expendable.
Well, there are appropriate procedures to observe to determine if one is the victim of any sort of possessing influence. And once I have appropriately seen to them, he will have no further excuse for his recent conduct.
Yeah, good idea.
Right, I'll grab the ankles. Obsidian, do you want to grab the shoulders?
Yeah, we can just skip back out over on the map for general map scale discussion.
The ship should provide an appropriate venue for...
Obsidian
Exactly
throws the
that.
whole
Yeah,
body
we can
over his
torture him in the
shoulder.
brig.
Milan's still carrying the ankles.
Yes.
Milan is
Right.
hanging off the back by the ankles. So yeah, it's not that far a walk, as the ship, because of the absolutely brilliant planning from Obsidian and Repose, was able to pull into the absolute shallowest part of the water possible and partially beach itself to get a good angle for its artillery. So it's not too far away. When you get back on the boat, the crew is looking quite happy to be back on the boat. They're all looking each other over. Flickering glass kind of looks like he's seen his own death 1,000 times, but, physically unhurt. Everybody else, they're rough and tumble enough crew members that they were in the thick of it for fighting the demons in the melee and the encirclement, and none of them have anything more than a fairly nasty gash or two. None of them look like they're going to be anything other than maybe a week's bed rest tops.
Obsidian steps onto the boat and goes, "Hey, we caught ourselves a fucker!"
Yeah! There's just an entire cheer on the boat. It's like, all right, so what are we doing with them, boss? What kind of fucker situation we talking about?
We have a guild leader here.
There's another cheer, but it's much more like like a combination of excited and like, oh man, this could get ugly, but like excited and frightened at the same time. It's just, Oh man.
would, you know, in his own way, explain the whole idea of, no, this guy has fucked up royally. The guild isn't going to save his ass.
There's kind of nods as the situation is explained, and then the idea of just throwing him to his debtors and his creditors over in Nexus, or having him run away. And they're just like, honestly, that's worse than anything we could do to him. Kind of situations. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, like, whatever we do, it would be honestly nicer than anything they do, so, yeah, okay. So,
But anyway, we're going to throw him in the brig for a bit and get some interrogation out of him, because he definitely was dealing with stuff way above his pay grade.
that's a pretty high pay grade, Flickering Glass says, trying to, like, put levity. It's like,
Character laugh. Like, actual chuckle.
So, yeah, the body is carried down into the brig as you can everyone can feel the presence of Onyx flickering around between people and looking in, and just, I'm very glad that you are all intact after such a volatile situation.
Thank you for the fire support.
There's this kind of flush of both pride and a little bit of embarrassment at the pride of just, it was nothing, I merely did what was asked of me.
Cool.
So, yeah, the Delos is chucked in the brig, still basically just kind of staring into space, wide-eyed, shock. You get the feeling that he may have absorbed what has been going on around him, but in a very much kind of distant, lights are on, nobody's at home, they're on vacation kind of way, so
Thoroughly
he may remember
disconnected
this.
from his experiences right now.
Yes, extremely disassociation hours.
Get
So
him very lightly restrained.
it is like, you know, give him enough to ground him, just kind of like slight restraints, enough tactile stuff to have tactile responses, things to look at, enough noises from the water against the hull, things to help him ground himself and realize that he is not being mind controlled by a dragon or else whatever else was going on, and realize that he's not being immediately murdered.
Everything sharp is removed from the chamber.
Good to know. Yeah, and yeah, the brig is just given a shut with the bars in the way, so it is very easy to look in and see what's going on. And he's just kind of left there because this is one of those situations where it feels like it just is going to take a little while for him to reboot. So in the meantime, while he is rethinking, what would the immediate local things to check on be for the crew? You've already looked around and done some help with the medicine in the resistance people.
Do the rounds, see if anyone's profiteering or being an opportunist in general.
Finesse stealth.
And if they are, give them
Yeah.
a swift kick in the ass.
We should visit his house and his office, because
Is this
people
the-
there are going to be like, hey, where's...
Hello,
why did
Botch!
Boss vanish?
Oh, is that a botch? Finally?
That's a botch!
Hmm.
That's a botch ball!
Did I put the care in the right order?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
All right.
That-
Kill me.
Adventure awaits.
Fuck me up, man.
No. I'm just thinking about what to do here for a sec.
Yeah, what's the funniest thing that could happen by me casually looking for, but probably mistake someone. for
Now, what
being-
is happening is that as you are creeping around, you are trying so focusedly to be like, oh, okay, nobody see me. I'm doing sneaky stuff. I'm doing virtuous crimes. And then somebody just kind of looks around and is as you are leaning in, and just kind of leans back, grabs their person. They're just like, hold up, no. And they immediately start yelling about a pickpocket and pointing at you.
But no. I'm looking for fuck. This does look pretty obvious, though, from your point of view.
Yeah, there's just kind of an immediate descent upon Yang as people immediately kind of recognize Yang, but Yang also hasn't really been making himself too present. Wasn't this the guy that was yelling really loudly about that? Where does Delos go? So the crowd is now starting to realize, hey, wait, hang on. What's going on, actually? What just happened? And they're demanding that you answer it because nobody else is around yet. So you have to try to figure out what you would explain this as.
Would like to roll for this because I do not know the level of bullshit excuse this universe will allow you to get out of mob treason, mob treason justice. So I guess finesse performance, maybe. To lie.
Finesse performance would be for like rhetoric or like things like that. Embassy would be for more like socializing or persuading.
I have a 0 in it.
Okay, roll performance, and this is going to be just kind of like trying to fast talk and bamboozle.
Don't botch, basically. Gotcha.
Botch.
Oh no.
Oh, you were so close! Okay, that's 3 successes, so... Man, that would have been really funny. But you are barely, like, because this is the minimum threshold successes, 3 successes, you are barely able to buy yourself about 15 seconds of just like, demons, you saw the demons, the Doomoids. I gotta make sure nobody's got Doomoids on them. And then just kind of fast talking about working with the priest and didn't you see the priest and I gotta go talk to him. I gotta go make sure that there's no demons around here. And by the time they let you go, and then they still realize, wait, he didn't answer anything about where the leader of our community is.
A lot of fast talking. Are you sure? Yeah, fuck, he's gone.
Yeah, it just by the moment they realized there was literally nothing of substance, you've already like fucking ran. So probably best to not get seen by the public until a good explanation is out there, but you're not immediately being thrown around as an excuse for what just happened. You're just
probably in my Yang disguise at that point then.
Yeah, you are you were probably as Yang, so you could put on Yakuman and not be busted.
Yeah, that's the benefit of living in alter ego.
Welcome to session 50 something or another, where Yang is now described as the disguise.
I mean, we were gonna get to the Batman situation eventually. Anyway, so yeah, as Repose would propose, hey, we should go look at the living arrangements in the mansions and things like that. And that would be a what would that be? I don't think I would classify that as a venture. It's not quite long enough.
All right, I have a visual to set the scene for that.
Sure, go ahead.
Since Repose is now actually in a strange break from the usual flow of these adventures, back into what his normal night job is during, regular boring years.
This is what you do for a living.
There's been a spiritual incident that he has neutralized. He has cast out the primary evil, and now he's like detaining suspects for questioning and so forth. It's time for an investigation. It's time for an inquiry and for trials and so forth to check for haunting and hexing. So Repose will make a bit of a show of. So this will probably there's like. I figure, like, the fight and the immediate, like, haze of aftermath of the fight happen over the course of the night.
Yeah, that would be, like, most of the night.
So, as dawn is breaking the next day, Repose takes a nice, long, loud, visible walk along a main street of the city, ending at the doors of Delos' manor, and just paints a big old sign on the door. And, puts up some papers and so forth to just mark this as a place that is under suspicion. Put up that warning sign of, all right, if there are any imps hiding between these bricks, I'm onto you.
Okay.
You best be out of here.
You may pick either embassy or craft with finesse and a stunt.
I will stow that stunt die for now.
Extremely official, legitimate like non-jokingly, no, this is a priest, up to, hey, some shit went down, and I am doing my official investigations, and no one get in my way, or else.
The Greys are
And-
going around performing other legwork of looking for omens, pointing at omens, putting up signs.
Like, one of them finds a dead sparrow in the middle of the road and puts up a tiny little chalk line around it and puts a sign next to it. But yeah, you, with that kind of role, ordinarily you would have to talk your way in past the other members of the business community, but from what people have already begun to rumor circulate from the people who slept through it or the people who were awake, and what people are aware of and what they're just seeing you do, it is a matter of just like, okay, Dragon is on an Inquisition, get out of the way. No, not even the guild is going to be like, you know what, okay, yeah, sure, no, go on ahead. Do your thing, do what you want, go ahead. No one is dumb enough to get in the way of a possibly immaculate, unknown to these people, on a mission to get rid of Malthian demons.
I think in particular here in this vicinity, it's a matter of all monks the same.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, just monk in general.
Anyone who has met Repose before knows he is more local than central.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
But
if anything,
otherwise-
this place would actually have the rep of you as the local problem solver and head cracker. So you on your local, actual, legit, super intense business and saying, demon outbreak. Yeah, everyone in town is getting the hell out of here. You could.
I am the guy who puts up the sign first instead of just kicking the door down. You're welcome.
Yeah, basically, you with a role like that, everyone in town is getting out of your way. You may be able to get over a line of pushing your luck too far, but I will warn you in advance if you are doing something too blatantly ignoring of the local stuff.
Mental image of Repose hammering into the ground a sign that says monk at work with his staff.
Yes.
Yeah, and that extension goes to anybody with Repose during investigation.
I would like to be with Repose.
Okay.
Rose is putting on the hat. Hat is on.
All right. So anybody who goes into the mansion
Official
itself,
priesting business.
roll me fortitude plus awareness first, with a difficulty threshold of 5.
Nope.
Got there.
So Milan is busy just kind of having to tamp down internal disgust. It just, This is the equivalent of the Navorish of the Isle, but just completely not even following the traditions of how you traditionally establish that you have wealth, well, whether new or old in the Isles. It is very much someone. Despite everything, Milan was raised as a dynast, and there is the reaction of, oh, you are just trying to buy respect, rather than earning respect, or having a lineage of respect. This is somebody who thinks that the more shiny things I have on display, the more you have to think I'm a legitimate person.
Milan is just staring at the floor molding, shaking his head in disgust.
Yeah,
Such a waste of jade.
It is one of those situations where it's just like you can recognize the lacquer here is like 10 times more expensive than it really needs to be. It is one of those things where it's like, you could spring for it, but it isn't really anything that is better than any other lacquer. You would have to import it. God knows how much that cost. This is purely there to show how much money he spent. This is actually even aesthetically pleasing. Man, what the asshole? Just constant grumbling and mumbling as you are doing the numbers in your head as a member of the ministry, looking around this house, tallying how much everything must have cost purely in shipping and transport, because a lot of it, almost all of it, honestly, is imports. And you're just going, you fucking asshole, the whole time, and you kind of forget you're there for clues, and you're just kind of making a fucking burn list against this guy. Yeah, this is the kind of guy who would have a gold toilet. kind of house.
He has two chamber pots in his restroom.
They're
Also-
facing each other. Who does that?
Also gonna add the my followers rating in. Yeah, the robes are also here, taking notes, counting things, noting angles that furniture is arranged versus each other. They all have their procedures.
Yeah, so I will
A
actually
lot of shock
split
dust
that.
is flying.
I will actually split that into the base result that you get, and then what the followers get is your additional information. So the first thing that Repose gets is that for all the ostentatious wealth and display stuff, there is a concerted effort to follow geomancy in terms of not making your house haunted. It has all clearly been he has consulted somebody, probably on the highest dime, of like, okay, build me this place, make sure that it flows correctly, make sure all the furniture is set up in a good way, but without necessarily, how to put this, it is less a geometrically balanced house where, you know, health and good fortune and luck and love and all these things are all balanced. And it is more, okay, so long as you are not cursing anything else in my life, crank up prosperity. That's it. That's all I care
Yeah,
about.
they
That's the only
paid-
thing you need to design
They
for.
paid a proper architect to arrange this house, who then had to work with a demanding jackass client.
Yes. Just basically, he demanded that his contractor min-max as much of the plus money value this house would give without actually costing him anything. So it's, in its own way, an incredibly impressive house. It is like, there must have been an absolutely amazing amount of artisan workmanship that went into this to make that all work. But it's all in service of just like, man, really? Not even like a room for good health. It's just more money, okay? Even the bathroom is where you put the cursed stuff. You still put a little bit of money in there. Okay.
You've not built a home. You've built a business.
Yes, he lives in a business.
There's piggy banks around your bed. Come on.
There's a bowl of oranges on every single surface. Or is that luck? I don't remember what that one actually is.
There are so many tiny idols just scattered everywhere, crowding every shelf.
Yes, that is absolutely the case, is that an actual, like, really orthodox immaculate would be having an eyeball blast blood out of just the 100 Gods heresy could basically be named after this house. Is that basically every spirit even remotely related to economic prosperity or good trade winds or luck on the roads or anything that would even remotely have to do with commerce has a tiny little idol representation in here somewhere. And they're not neglected, but they're not really particularly individually paid attention to. They're a part of a collective rather than the gods are individually getting propitiation and payback, unless they are particularly big deals.
They've been like arranged into sets where there's some
Yes.
main figure and then an entourage surrounding them.
Yes. So, meanwhile, the Grey Robes, as they're digging around, and they're just kind of taking down notes exactly of, you know, what exactly is where in the geomantic things, what looks like it's been moved recently. The first thing that sticks out to the Grey Robes is that it's not so much that there's a layer of dust on things, as that when you slightly move the furniture, there are those little marks on the ground, on the either carpeting or on the wood, that shows just from light bleaching and stuff that they haven't been moved in a while. So this is a house that has been settled for a while and hasn't had major changes done to it in a while. So it doesn't seem like he's dramatically changed this place or his behaviors particularly recently in terms of his house. The other thing that they notice is that when they go into his bedroom, there is a small velvet-lined box made of high-quality wood. At first, that looks like it's just any given jewelry container, until they look in and a couple of connections are clicked. 1, hinges are made of brass. 2, velvet on the inside is a deep dark green. 3, the divot on the velvet on the inside matches the shape of the brass pad. It is currently open and by the bedside table.
Well, there we go. Oh, that's one thing now.
With that information, would you have any particular follow-ups you would be wanting to?
Well, imagine as part of the lead up to this, there would be someone here who is least unwilling to step up and answer questions.
Like how
Someone
you
who
phrased
someone
that.
who is either second in command or the person that the actual in command is hiding behind.
Yeah. The vizier or the actual vizier.
Yes.
So let me think about that. Yeah, there's probably a head of the household staff that you would get in contact to as one of your possible first leads, and then the other one would be just VP of the trading company. Just the secondary officer. Of those two, which would you want to go talk to first?
I think we'll start with people just related to the house itself
Okay.
before moving on to other folks in the company.
The name of... Sorry, hang on, cat got in the way.
Pet cat.
Minor cat wrangling is involved. Cat is being, cat is being pet.
Good.
The name of the head of the household servants and staff is just named Quill. They are probably about 50 or 60 years old. Graying hair, cropped down pretty tight. Very much composed looking, well dressed, not, ostentatiously dressed, but, dress your staff to impress kind of dressed. And very much has the demeanor of someone who has worked either this particular job or this kind of job for long enough that they know what they are and are not able to say, and what opportunities it is to actually start talking. And when you approach, there's just the familiar flicker of, okay, thank God.
Yeah, so if I would suppose then this person has been kind of in orbit all throughout the tour and the examination.
Yeah, they would be just keeping an eye and,
Yeah, so
nominally the given excuse would be to make sure that you're not taking anything untowards or, not lining your own pockets, but
so
clearly interested in what you are looking for.
So, all throughout the entire examination of the house, in response to just about everything, will be a similarly serious, dour, and ominous kind of They just allow everything to sound like it could be damning evidence of wrongdoing, but not commit to making any statements on any one subject.
If you say anything, it is a moment of, oh, I hate to see that.
Or curious.
Peculiar. That is a number. Like, Moat is present on shoulder and will just occasionally, tense up and arch and tail waggle and then calm back down.
Eyes dilate for a moment.
Just sometimes stare at a corner for no apparent reason and then look back.
Stare over Quill's shoulder into the corner until Quill turns around to look, then turns back to Moat, and then Moat is just yawning and looking somewhere else like nothing had ever happened. Yeah, okay, roll me force presence with the stunt.
Yeah, alright, and I will throw Cat's puffed tail into that for 2 successes. I'll take these stunt dice now. Well, that stunt die, I still have the other one I'm keeping stored.
Seven successes. Okay, so
The result there includes the
oh
first
yes,
two.
so
It is
5 successes. Right, I keep forgetting that it auto calculates that. So yeah, 5 successes. Yeah, by the time you reach the bedroom and you make the first little raised eyebrow at the box, Quill just lets out this just the socially acceptable way of just going, look, all right, if you want to, I'll talk. I've wanted to talk, and I am now feeling societally like I am able to signal that, okay, yeah, no, if you want to get information out of me, I'm willing.
How long have you worked with this man?
By my last reckoning, 9 years, 8 months, and 17 days?
Does that extend to or beyond the beginnings of the present company and its operations in this area?
There's a pause for a moment. I worked with the consortium that he was a member of back in Nexus. Although when he received his promotion and went out to set out his own trading company, I was promoted to the head of the household.
Can you recall the weather on the day that he received his commendation?
There's a actual pause to think for a moment. Well, it being Nexus, I can guarantee you that it was dark and cloudy. Beyond that, I believe there was a light rain. Slightly unseasonal, but
Is there a strong wind or a mild wind?
mild. Mild. It was a spring storm that felt like it got lost.
Propose will continue along with these directions of questioning, of hearing about past events, and then rather than asking about like specific technical details relating to business, just fishing for omens and signs within previous events.
Yeah. So with that roll, I'm not going to make you into make a roll to interrogate it. The omens and signs part is mostly neutral-ish. The guy has never been particularly haunted, but never particularly blessed either. It just kind of seems like any given statistical sample noise level of good and bad omens across significant moments of his life. Like, the most you could say is that when he got out here and the gold mine got struck, there was a particularly auspicious omen in the sunrise on the day after, breaking through the foliage in such a way that it had a rainbow through the morning mist. Like, he is not the kind to aggressively flaunt divinity and its laws, but he's not very particularly religious either. And it seems like the laws of the world itself and of, the celestial heavens have kind of responded with a reciprocal shrug. He pays his dues.
Entirely adequate on the magic side of his operations.
He is exactly, I am paying exactly my taxes, and that's it. Although there is, again, a noteworthy thing where he has min-maxed this house for prosperity, and he has, by some definitions, had success in the trading company itself. But then it reflects upon you that, right, he's up to his eyeballs in debt. It is likely, and especially as you're talking back and forth with Quill and their observations, that the house's building towards prosperity was a conscious choice to be like, I'm screwed if I don't get out of this debt. I need to find ways out of it. And, I mean, like, analyzing his business and analyzing how the trade has gone for plant products, minerals, and other things through the artery of trade through this region, I mean, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot better, but it's also one of those things where it's like, we're not talking about an S&P 500 company here, but neither are we talking about a corner store run by somebody who has never heard the word, who has never heard of a W2 before. It is very much just a middle-of-the-road, slightly above average in some ways, and slightly below average in other ways, guild affiliate. Just kind of, if anything, irritated at its own mediocrity.
It's
And
a very
that's where,
normal guild company, when every guild company wants to be above average.
yes, it is the Wake Wobegon effect of all the children are above average kind of thing, where everyone wants to be the ones who are breaking out and making a huge splash and being successful and being the ones that lead the pack. Except by how things work, there's gotta be a giant average middle. And he was in it, and he was annoyed by that. He was like, semi-convinced, and Quill will volunteer editorial on, might be right, might not be, I can't say, on having been sent out here to make this trading company in this particular area as we like you enough to give you a shot out here, but we don't value you enough to not have you go out to the ass end of nowhere and make a possible disaster. And rack up a bunch of debt. Like, Nexus is very callous, cruel, and predatory in a lot of its own ways, but it also won't keep giving you debt money if it's not convinced you're going to pay. Like, he has huge debts because he's been making his debt payments on time consistently, and maybe a little above them on a good year. So, it's not like he's been a failure. He's just not been a success in a huge, marquee and bright lights kind of way.
I almost sympathize with this man, says Milan.
Quill size.
Almost.
You have roughly the right of it, Master. They nod their head and kind of look up to... They had not been introduced to you.
You may just call me Milan.
Milan. I believe he would have been far better suited if his ambitions had been more localized. He had bigger dreams than I believe his ability or, frankly, the willingness of his backers would have taken him to. The eyes, very much in a way that are pretending to look like they're subtly trying to avoid attention, but very much letting you see where the eyes track, then look over to the box by the bed. Just kind of as a, oh, this is a casual glance no one will see, I hope nobody makes a connection kind of look.
Yes, ambition does seem to be the illness of the times.
It is understandable in some senses when an angel investor shows up, giving an offer to substantially reduce the time left on your debt payments, to perhaps be unwise in listening to the upsides of the offer that they are giving you, and be less scrupulous than one should be in investigating their background or former business deals. Of course, that was not my domain, so I was incentivized to keep my opinion to myself.
Meanwhile, Repose has counted out a specific number of individual grains of rice into the palm of his hand, waits a moment to, have eye contact with Quill and his attention, then casts all but one of them onto the floor, just with, a little, sleight of hand to hold one of them in his palm. And when all this produces is just confusion...
Yeah, there's just kind of a,
Just
you think, there's a...
lean in a little... That is good. And then you will quietly collect these up and start writing up a prescription for some small, personal wardings and cleansings.
There is a facial expression on Quill's face that only Repose and people kind of like Repose would be able to recognize on their face of, does he think I'm a vampire? Just the moment of, hold on, what?
At this, I think I'm going to go have a look at that box. Not touch it yet, but look at it.
Finesse sagacity roll, please.
Offer an excellency with that.
All right, so your general sorceress instincts at this point, plus your repeated.
I have a dossier on this man. I know
Yeah,
his.
you have dealt with enough of this man and the things that he has gotten his greasy hands on to give a look at this and go, okay, the box itself is not a problem. The box did not have any rancid vibes. The velvet and the brass was just because the fucker couldn't not. That is very much the touch of somebody who just has to have a little joke for himself in everything he does. The box is not poisoned, the box is not cursed, but there is the slightest trace of a little bit of stank from where the amulet had been, but not as much as what you would have expected. But yeah, it is like you can concretely say that it is actually safe to like pick up and examine it with your own hands and look at it. And it's like it's all right craftsmanship. It's very much the sort of crafts that are good enough to look pretty great until you have it in your hands and you do the inspection. At which point it goes back down to it's all right. It's pretty all right, pretty good, because now you can see some like workman tool hand chip marks and things like that where it's very much there are a couple of mistakes that were made to put this thing together, but none are very huge. The sort of thing that would disqualify it as normally being something that would be on display in a very rich man's house, but otherwise it's a fine box.
Fair craftsmanship. Sort of opens and closes, investigating the hinges.
It's
Austere,
they got
but
they got a little bit of jiggle back and forth to them. They're not completely fit, but yeah, it's one of those things that you wouldn't really have a problem with until like 5 years later if you were opening it every day.
this is nothing more than a statement piece.
Quill raises an eyebrow and lets Milan go on, clearly visibly interested, but also not prying.
Yeah. Milan just sets the box down, just showing disinterest in it now. It is of that box itself is of no concern.
There is a pause. And what was in it?
I'm going to have a look at what Omen Repose is currently investigating right now to decide how I respond.
I believe this would be about the point where the price is being picked up.
Thinking back, that amulet we found, the magic on it is dead now. It's just a normal.
Very dead. It is now an inert object, and your appraisal of it at the time is that it had no innate power. It was a conduit.
I believe what meaning its contents have had it. Yeah, what meaning its contents held have ceased to be.
There is a slight exhale of relief. I could never quite put my finger on it, but that necklace never felt right.
Did he wear it often?
Hardly saw him not wearing it afterwards. I told him that it didn't fit his outfits when I was helping him get dressed with the rest of the servants in the morning, but he wouldn't hear a word of it.
And did you say how long ago he received this amulet?
There is a thought. About 2 months and 14 to 16 days ago.
Mental calculation, where does that line up in the campaign?
Let me pull that up on the calendar. The exact date is not something that I have particularly critically mattering.
Just the general.
It is
ongoing.
while you were on the way back from the Isle.
Okay.
This feels like perhaps it was something set up long in advance as a dead drop trigger.
Yeah, this lines up around with when they were grabbing the War Striders. So this sounds
Yeah.
like a personal project of his.
Yeah. Like, actually give me fortitude integrity to just sit and have a think and puzzle out in character what you would think and know.
3 successes.
Yeah, your gut instinct is like this was a side project he was building without. This was probably not part of the actual official things the group was doing when they were working together. This was probably a bailout side project he had for himself as just general shitheel things that he was doing for his own personal projects as either a bailout or to advance his own angle of the schemes. Like, this doesn't feel like something that they would be doing to advance the plans that were part of the three of them.
Milana's going to come to the conclusion that this was set up as a personal prank on Delos of, oh, this is going to be hilarious. Just from my general vibe and what Green said during his motivations is, oh no, he set this guy up to fall and be hilarious to this asshole.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say, yeah, that's pretty close.
Yep.
That's basically, Delos was the current victim of his side project of, I'm going to set someone up to destroy their own life and it's going to be hilarious to watch. And with that, Repose... Actually, I'm not going to even call for a roll because you have Moat and you have Doom Vision and you have your specialties in the former system. When you investigate the tiny traces on the box's velvet, and you discuss further how he acted before and after he got the amulet with Quill, and their discussion of how he acted, he was convinced that it was a good luck charm from your friend in the area was using a cover as basically a traveling kind of trinkets and baubles and, charms and good luck salesperson who was like, oh yeah, I had a fantastic business, but I kind of retired and I'm letting it make its own money, so I'm just going out and having a good time with my life. And here, let me help you with your problem. I got a solution for you. Here, let me give you this amulet of good luck. And on its own, the amulet didn't really do anything, but when the Infernal felt like it, he could just be like, okay, I was involved with that, I have a connection with it, I can just send at random when I feel like it's funny, or whenever I remember it, I can just send a curse in that thing. I could just, mechanically speaking, Loon, you remember the old Ebon Dragon charm where it's just like, oh, you had a success? No, you don't, botch. Or failure turns to botch, and the thing like that. Like, the thing where the Ebon Dragon charms were all less about being cool yourself and more turning everyone else's luck horrible.
Yeah.
That's basically what he was doing it for, is he was subtly sabotaging his luck slowly and constantly in a way that didn't feel like anybody was actively out to get him, and then used the connection through the amulet to basically brainjack him when you guys started closing in as a panic measure.
All right.
So, yeah, that is the information you're basically able to get out of Quill and the investigation here. You could go on and speak with the Vice President, you could go out and do other things, balls back in your court.
Thing I would like to do that I think we can, it seems at this point we've dynamically decided that this is a Repose Milan scene, the mansion investigation.
Yeah.
So we can collaborate on this. I want to Quill and through him the rest of the household staff. I want to throw an influence at them to plant the sense that this whole operation is cursed now, that this is a bad idea, has been bad idea for a long time. Just get them all more concerned and nervous about things that seemed fine in the past and cast them in a worse light.
Yeah, make all of the...
make sure everyone here from top to bottom through the structure is thoroughly spooked by what has happened now.
Make
Is now doubting why they are in this house.
Make all of the innocuous bad omens in the past now make it feel like, oh, those were foreshadowing all the bad omens in the past 2 months.
Oh no!
But also that's useful, so yes.
Darren, I would like to make an assist roll.
Sure, go ahead.
I want to, in our investigations, slightly nudge something to do with prosperity out of place. To make it look like, oh, the only reason this was standing up was all this prosperity, and oh, that's not...
I will give you a suggestion that will give you a stunt.
Uh-huh.
As an air aspect, you can generally, for free, do tiny manipulations of the air and wind. You could just have something poltergeist off a shelf in the middle of a conversation. Like to underscore Repose talking about the bad vibes, you can have one of the god of prosperity idols or one of the other things that was for prosperity just kind of fall.
And most important move to throw upon this. So in that prescription that I said I was writing up, wrapped in the physical, material of it, is a little stack of coin, and on the back of it is a recommendation of place where you can get the good swamp vodka. And I'm going to thoughtful gift technique on this subject. While Repose is being very, very formal outwardly, just with the subtext and the eyes and the body language being like, yeah, sucks, man. Probably slip in there like a suggestion that if there is anyone else in the house who he suspects is experiencing symptoms, he can perform similar examining. I'm going to buy you all a round of drinks to help get over this very bad day that you've all had.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
And I suppose that'll also be then adding resources to the influence roll.
Yeah, so your influence roll is finesse, presence, plus resources, plus a stunt, and the additional teamwork roll is going to be the number of successes plus 1 from Milan on a force sagacity roll.
All right, okay. You do your move.
And does being Dragon Blood give me 1 auto success or 1 extra dice?
It gives an extra die to Repose when counting your
benefactor
successes.
Of the assistance gets.
Yes.
I am offering you 3 extra dice.
Yes. So that is.
Oh, you.
And then with the stunt, that would put it to a full 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, there is a total cap of 10 extra dice being able to be added to a pool from all sources, which sounds like it's being hit.
Yes, we are exactly hitting the pin on this.
There's a cap of 10 successes and a separate cap of 5 successes and 10 dice. So.
And okay, I could have written into the line.
That is a lot of ones.
That thoughtful gift is double 9s.
Okay, so that's 7 successes.
So that is a 7 still. And many ones of just look.
7
actually,
ones.
yeah, look how ominous this is.
Yeah, no. Just, you are trying your best to be reassuring, and even without intending to do the subtextual menace, it just kind of comes out. You just kind of realize it's happening, and you lean into it as kind of the secondary stick onto the character, just like, menacing.
Local ghosts have noticed what I'm doing and just volunteered to assist in the bad vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, Moat just opens the pupils all the way so you can't see his irises, and is just kind of leaning in further and further until it's just like at a 50-degree angle forward from the legs leaning off the shoulders in towards Quill, as Quill is just like, is this guy gonna jump on me?
Repose is being drawn normally as he talks, and then Moat has become Junji Ito's pictures of his cat.
Yes! Yes!
I want to propose an idea as on these rolls. They get an extra success due to how many ones they got for just look how bad the vibes are.
No, I'm basically counting that as part of this. Yeah, like,
Okay.
I'm basically counting it as an additional narrative reward for look at how haunted that is, and it was still a good roll. I am perfectly willing to do goofy dice shit, but it's not in the books.
Alternatively, Moat is currently turning into one of those like content aware.
Content aware cats.
Unless you have him entirely focused in your detail vision, he just gets a bit wiggly.
Yeah, when it's like in the
Just
periphery
stretching
vision,
out.
it just starts getting weirder, and then you glance back over, normal cat. Look back over to repose, gets weirder and weirder and weirder, normal cat. So you just see Quill keep glancing back over to your shoulder, getting more and more distressed as this is going on. And as they reach out their hand to take the prescription, there is a loud thunk as a bottle of wine, like from the label name of the wine is Bounty and Prosperity, falls off the shelf and hits the ground and breaks as the receipt and the money is coming into the hand. Quill just looks at that, looks at the receipt, pockets it. I think I'll be taking you up on that one.
Yeah, a couple of gray robes like swoop in and draw a chalk outline and start laying the salt and counting the glass shards and noting the arrangements that they have fallen in.
Milan, you actually notice Moat looking over in your direction with a single tail flick and a slow blink.
Milan's gonna give that sheepish look everyone knows Milan does.
Yeah, we call that persuade or inspire to otherwise.
Yep. That is, I'm counting that as a social influence roll, and that would be
Just get
enough
this part
to
of the
make
guild
them do it.
operation
Yeah.
firmly convinced that no shit's haunted. We
This is
gotta
haunted.
go.
Man, this whole operation is boned, actually. I don't know what he did or what he didn't do, but no, something cursed the shit out of this place.
So that would leave as we like walk out of there, just kind of swoop. That we're then outside of the very ominous house that people are like starting to loot actually and strip down and get ready to.
Yeah, there's
bail
already
out of.
somebody just kind of peeling the copper out of the walls casually.
I was gonna say Milan was gonna hand off a note of, okay, here's all the really actually valuable stuff you can sell off. This is where you can find it in the house. Milan was making a note of, okay, here's how you actually loot this place and get this money redistributed where it needs to go.
So then the following concerns are the remainder of his compatriots at the company, also located here, and there are a number of mercenaries who are shortly going to cease to be receiving pay. Someone should speak with them.
I believe that's something that Angler and possibly Obsidian, if he's up for it, could be taken care of.
Yes, that would be exactly in your wheelhouses for the both of you. So we can skip to that for that next scene if you want.
Do you
Perhaps.
guys have anything left you need to do on this one?
The house seems pretty settled right now.
Yeah, mansion is pretty settled at the moment.
House is haunted.
Business haunted.
Cat's wiggling.
I've gotten sub-zero temperatures down here in the house, so we won't need...
God, let's just pull out Repose's reliquary. Okay, we got Spirit Box. Okay, so in the meantime,
Of course,
it's
they
not
will
very-
be told that Delos is, for the time being, alive and secure, and he will be appropriately
Yeah.
examined.
I figured that you would have brought that up to the house staff pretty much
Yes.
immediately. It's just like he needs some time.
Using very ominously non-committal language.
He has been taken care of.
Also, remaining in that neutral state of,
Yeah.
I am not supposed to condemn people until I'm actually ready to throw them on a pyre or under a large rock.
So yeah, for Repose and for Obsidian and Angler, the question remains of, okay, so he had mercenaries on retainer, because all guild merchants do. That's how they usually handle their security and things like that, and military expansion if that's the kind of guild person they are. The first question would be, okay, where are they? Except that's not really a question. Where do you find mercenaries when they're not currently up to doing shit?
The bar.
The bar. Yes. You would just go to the bar. And you would be able to pretty quickly narrow down, okay, there are a couple of taverns, there are several, drinking and inns and, traveling houses and things like that. The one you're looking for is the one that looks like it would be full of people who kill people for a living, and that's easy to find. There is always the one where you walk in and the vibes are immediately like, nah, someone has died in here. Like, someone has been, like, and not from alcohol poisoning. It is pretty easy to find the one that is full of the hired mercenaries and killers kind. And when you walk in, give me a fortitude integrity roll from the both of you.
One moment. I can just learn how to spell the word roll.
Can I ask the thought behind this roll?
Vibe check, basically.
All right, give me a second. I need to check something. I need to remember that I'm saving this as the thing. Is this it? This is it. Now I need to wait for the PDF to load. Hello.
While Newbie's loading all the stuff up, Angler's gonna take a quick look at the bartender. Do they look to be in on it, or is this more of a like, nah, they picked my spot, I'm just gonna roll with it kind of thing?
Okay, this is
from Angler's
not
roll
for the
so far.
situation.
Yeah, the piece of information, there will be more, but one of the pieces of information Angler gets is the bartender's like, well, they picked my spot, but I also don't care so long as they don't burn it down and they pay me. Just
Good
very
enough.
much I'm not endorsing you, but I'm also not upset about this.
Yeah, you
Don't
might be
don't make it
shit,
my-
but I'm not gonna burn your house down.
In a nutshell, the bartender's view of this is don't make it my And Obsidian gets the vibe check of, okay, these are mercenaries who've probably done morally questionable things once or twice in their day. This is not team war crimes of the war crime squad. This is not people who do atrocities all day, every day, and love it. If you gave them a shit ton of money, they would probably end up doing it after consulting whether or not it was worth it long term. But honestly, they mostly just stick to things like breaking people's legs over debt or doing security work and general just kind of armed shakedown, quasi-legitimized thug enforcement from, merchant cartels and things like that. It is
Just would lean into Angler, whisper in the air. These aren't morally corrupt. These are mercenaries for the sake of mercenaries.
They are mercenaries, capital M. Fuck you, pay me.
Yeah.
Perks
They
for
are.
hire.
It's in a fucked up world. Like, look, we don't need to kill them because they're the worst scum in this hive of villainy, and all that, et cetera, et cetera. It's just
I was pointing out that, in my opinion, they're not really at fault here. They got hired by a shitty man. What are you gonna do?
unless there's someone in town that can directly point to these people doing reprehensible things, it's more of a, okay, you have options. Some are leave, others are form local guard force, but that's pretty much it.
Well,
Yeah,
to forward the
Obsidian would
concern-
follow that. We follow that up
They could just
this
move on, yeah.
lean in conversation that's happening because Obsidian refuses to get a phone. So do you want me to do this my way or your way?
Before we do that, other people are chiming in. What did you guys have?
Well, just to remind here, the concern that I prompted this scene with was, the problem is they're about to get cut loose because we're going to make this company collapse, and
They're about to be
there's
mercenaries.
They
with
go
no
from
pay-
mercenaries back to bandits, waiting to receive a commission.
They have no pay, no supplies, no nothing, and are a bunch of armed dudes in the middle of nowhere with no political affiliations needing to sustain itself. That is the deadline here.
And then, Sana, I believe you had something?
Yeah, if we're dissolving a company completely, they're just not going to move on to the next contract. They're going to,
Yeah. It was,
We need to find them something to do.
We're going to make a bunch of homeless soldiers.
We either
Yeah, Obsidian, this is more your cup of tea. I'm here in case things get rowdy.
Yeah, oh no, Obsidian has to deal with the bandits that may have just been doing their job, and now, oh man, if only Obsidian has ever dealt with this before. Anyway,
I'm assuming that
like
I'm just ruling that you're muttering that to yourself in character.
Yeah, it's mostly a matter of. I mean, I'm gonna try to make sure this place doesn't burn down if they do something stupid.
Obsidian kicks in the door. Who wants a job?
But yeah,
all right.
take it
So
away.
no, yeah, the Obsidian kicks in the door. We're already in there. Yeah, Obsidian.
Obsidian walks back outside and then kicks in.
in the door.
I will
Angler
accept that
quietly
if you want
moves
to
a
do
bartender or a barmaid out of the way as she's about to get kicked by the door. He's gonna do something stupid. Just step over here.
Hey, what's up?
that. There are several people who turn around having seen you come in the first time, and the reaction is less shock and more just, what the fuck?
So, your boss is about to be arrested,
Immediate tension rising in the room.
and none of you are at fault. You were hired and mercenaries. You took a job. That's fine. Here's the follow-up, though. We're trying to make this town a better place, and do not want, any repercussions to come of this. So, you have pretty much two choices. A, you can become part of the town and help keep it going in a pretty good way, either by A, defending it, B, helping with the mercantile that's going to be happening across the roads and defending that from any bandits that may decide to do what wrong. Or if you decide not to help get this town back on its feet. So anyway, the two of us took out your boss, and I would recommend not going against the things that I mentioned as option one.
So roll me force presence with the stunt.
Okay.
And any charms that you would like to add.
All right. I feel like I should actually have a. Okay, wait. Actually. Oh. Right. Okay. That's a. That is a presence.
Can I introduce a thing here real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Can one of the people look over and recognize that Angler's the one that killed all the blood apes and go, oh, it's that guy? And then Angler just kind of looks over and winks as kind of a way to back off.
Yeah, you can do an assist roll with the same pool for doing that, yeah.
Which one is it? I'm sorry.
Force presence.
Force presence, gotcha.
I am going to add on to this of yeah, there is a bit of a threatening air to this, but I am using Worshipful Lackey Acquisition.
That is actually 5 because of the Dragon Ball team bonus. So 5 is best for Obsidian.
All right. So that's going to be a 15 d10? Yeah.
Just roll 5 extra on top of what you already rolled.
Oh. Well, I haven't rolled yet.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, that was my mistake.
No.
Yeah, that
oh,
check
and also
there was
that's a
the
stunt.
vibe check.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mistake.
17 d10 d19 d10 greater than 7s with Lackey Acquisition on top of this.
So this is that scene in like every 80s movie where somebody walks into the biker bar and it's like if somebody's in mid-pool shot and the ball just stops rolling and everybody's looking up for their drinks and it's just, everybody's just kind of like, what? There's this moment of just like, Bigger Fish has entered the chat. Internally, you can tell that their initial response to your boss is being arrested and I'm in charge now is, okay, whatever. The secondary comments about we're going to be making this a better place are met with, just kind of the immediate hesitation, irritation of, oh god, are we gonna have to make this a thing? But so then the two options presented are like stay and etc. and then or leave with the subtext of leave and don't pillage anything or we will tear you in half like a piece of string cheese. And they all kind of look at each other for a moment. What's your rates?
Good question. Obsidian, having dealt with this before, would actually have like, hey, so you do a good job. This is, I don't know what good money is in this setting, but like, you will get a living wage. You will get pretty good things. You'll be living a solid life. It's not going to be a life of luxury, but work for your living, live well. Of like, hey, if you do a good job, you'll be taken care of. Because again, that's Obsidian's thing.
So probably what ends up happening during the payment negotiations is what comes out is that you cannot actually give the same wage that Delos did because of Delos running on a combination of guild money and debt. But you're also giving the dual offer of, look, it is less pay, but it is also a pay that is, you help these people and then either you can stick around and you can renegotiate your contract with them as part of the town, or this is enough money to get you supplies to move on and go find another employer later. This is kind of a temporary contract proposal for while this town is being built up. And when it's proposed like that, it's like, if it's just a temporary contract and it is enough to like get us food and supplies and things like that, like just to get us over
your transitionary period of your new life, and you don't steal from people to do that yourself.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That is basically when they put it like that. It's like, fucking, why would we turn that down? We just keep doing what we're doing, maybe with a couple of things that we remove from our verbs with what we do to people if they're behind on payments and things like that, and we get our money to just go do something else and continue living the way we want. Why would we turn that down? So yeah, it is very just much a natural response of just sure, okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah, they go back to their barracks. Instead of being assholes barracks, it's something along the lines of local defense force, and it's the same thing.
You start talking about retirement planning, and they're like, wait, what?
They cut you off, and they're like, no, that's not how it works.
But what if it did?
What if it did?
You get the idea that maybe a couple of the mercenaries long-term will stick around and actually make something of themselves here in a more societally constructive way, but most of them are
probably the older ones would be like, yeah, I could settle down.
Yeah, fuck it, I'm old enough. The next major battle I get into, and this is probably my last, I might as well stick around. As well as a couple of the younger ones who are like, man, this is not the lifestyle I thought it was gonna be. I want an excuse to get out that doesn't make me look like a coward. But a lot of them, like in their middle years or who have a lot of years of experience in their belts, are more just like, I have a mercenary lifestyle, and I don't think I can really stop being a mercenary, so I'm just going to keep doing what I know, kind of situation. So, yeah, you get the whole company on board with, towing the line, following the rules, and helping the place out so long as the money is coming. And then once the contract is up, yeah, you'll get some staying here, but most of the company will just pull up stakes and go out and look for somebody else to be putting the bill on.
And if they have other places they'd like to look, Angler can point them to other places since they know the local leaders and be like, hey, I can't promise you'll get a good contract, but they at least might look at you rather than be like, whatever.
By the way, if you're planning to wander off and try to work for other regional authorities, like the three of them are sworn brothers of the man you're already talking to, so...
We have a list of references, yes. That would actually get their attention pretty well as well. Of just like, we could get you a foot in the door on, like, God's Breath River Valley, or like, down, near the new community near Clay Bottom or Trident River. Like you're listing off the list of people you've met personally, and they're just kind of like, okay.
And are related to, nothing big.
Yeah.
Well, you see, my wife, she commands a lot of light infantry. Always trying to work things into being a skirmish.
Now, I don't get it, but...
See, it's the funniest thing. I never see her ordering javelins.
Money tridents. It's the worst. Anyway, moving along.
Yeah, that's about all I have for this scene. I love it when I can time stream delay my reaction. But yeah, that's about all I had for that, unless you had other things to chime in on. What would the inimitable Yaku Man be up to in the period of time directly after the shit went down?
Side quests. Mundane
right.
bullshit. Fixing fences. Clearing rubble.
All right.
Got
So,
the
Getting
first house.
inspiration for the other forms of the orphans.
Running a soup line.
Yakuman encounters the
Going
kid on a
shopping
skateboard.
for an old lady who's has a sprained ankle from an incident.
completely unrelated to any of the ones you were involved in, just kind of happened. I'm gonna roll a thing and see what happens. All right, that's pretty good. So something odd starts to strike you as you are going around doing your errands as Yakuman and establishing your presence here in the city. You start getting a gut feeling of less. Before you were like, okay, I need to go out and use my intuition, and I need to ask people who needs help and things like that. Now you just kind of have this almost inexplicable gut knowledge of I need to go 100 yards down this road, turn left, and somebody's going to be there that needs something. And then you do, and they are there, and you just know. For lack of a better term, you have an internal side quest radar that is developing, and you're not sure how. You just intuitively understand and feel like it is because people realize, oh, Yakuman's in town, and they're thinking of, well, I could use help with such and such, and then you hear it and you feel it.
Yeah, like Yakuman's walking down a street and he sees a pillar of light over someone's head, visible across, just like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just whatever way you want to narratively say it. You basically, in universe, the Yakuman...
In the new Assassin's Creed, you just, ping any part of the map and you could just, go above rooftops and be like, oh, okay, over there.
Yeah, semi-mechanically, narratively speaking, the Yakuman cult has grown enough that you are able to subconsciously not directly hear prayer, but feel vague prayer shapes in the direction that would fit your Urv. Like people who are just kind of reaching out for somebody to help.
The player goes to a zone and they explore around and look for the person who has the. So yeah, we don't tell them where a Jeptite marker is anymore. We tell them a broad circle where the thing is.
And you have gone from not having one to having that broad circle of this is somebody around here needs your help, and you've never had that inclination before. It's just what the fuck? You basically have given enough of a divine backup to have, a divine vibe check of side quest detection. So you normally you'd be able to do a couple of these in a day. You start just blasting through them because there is no downtime between them. You know, once you're done, somebody needs help with a goat, and you just immediately turn and run, and you know exactly where to go.
I could do Kiryu levels of side quests.
Yeah, you have basically just turned into the interchapter parts of Yakuza, where you just start psychically blasting through, just going, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is
I'm gonna help this lady find her cat. God damn it!
All I know is that there's a chicken I need to win from the bowling machine.
Everybody talks about the chicken. I was thinking about the band.
Yeah, the band.
The Yankee band.
The Yaku band. Yeah.
The Yaku band.
Yep.
I want a Yaku van.
Yaku van. I've heard House Lalu.
Actually, fuck a motorcycle. I want a Yaku van.
But yeah,
Quick to the Yaku van.
Roll me finesse, fortitude, sagacity to see if you intuitively understand what's happening, or if you just kind of go, I'm rolling with it. Like, I'm assuming that the reaction either way is going to be...
Narratively, I want to just go I guess the mask just knows now. Weird.
Yeah, that's close enough to what the actual success on the roll would just be like...
Do we feel like on a narrative level, I could assist via flashback of just the sheer amount of shop talk that has happened between Repose and Yang over the course of this adventure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yang finally, like, abruptly remembering one of the metaphors Repose has used to explain how gods perceive the wheel of the cosmos. And having bits of that suddenly snap in, like, oh, wait, yeah.
Oh, a
yeah,
practical
round.
example that I can look at. Okay.
Oh, turn the wheel. Yeah.
Oh shit! This is what he was talking about. Damn.
Except your 5 dice of help.
Yeah.
Damn. So it's roll additional 5.
Yeah. Roll an additional 5 on that pool.
Why didn't he
Oh,
just describe
wow.
it this way?
It's crazy. When you have someone teaching you,
Holy
things
shit!
are a lot easier understandable.
So yeah, the second that you remember that, the vague circle actually kind of resolves into just exclamation points on your mental mini-map and over. Like, there is actually not a visible thing, but like a palpable in your skin or in your stomach, just some physiological response when you look at someone of just concretely 1000%. That person, if I walk up to them and say, "What do you need?" has something I can help with. You just know that intuitively.
That rules.
You need to use the senses that are outside.
I'm going to
your
use this to
flesh
fuck
in
up the main plot
environment.
so much somehow. I don't know how, but I'm going to use this to fuck everything up. I'm just like, why do you have something that you could have the Yaku? That's weird.
Later on, we see Ruby Tyrant, and there's just a side quest marker
There's like
above them.
15 blue exclamation
That is the
points
one
over
side
his
quest
head.
that I will never do.
They got the plus mark exclamation points though.
I don't give a shit. He can go straight to hell.
But this is how you unlock the 24-man raid.
This
is how I can unlock the 24-man go to hell.
It's how you unlock the tiny cat minion.
God.
I will buy that with real world currency instead.
I will participate in capitalism rather than help you. Good day, sir. Damn. We have tiny cat minion at home, says Morgan. Correct.
Tiny cat minion at home is Moat.
So, yeah, with that settled, I think I will say enough time has passed that you can go back on the boat after a ping from Onyx of Delos seems to be more with it together, aware and is trying to ask the crew what is going on, that you would be able to go and interrogate.
Alright, descend into cell,
Enter cell.
blackout window, set up, small lamp on small table in front of Delos, set up
Small lamp that
Moat
is paper lamp.
next to small lamp. Set up a few other conspicuous objects that are just kind of there.
Delos, upon seeing Repose, has enough of the memory of Repose doing Repose things to just kind of slink back into a corner of the brig until directly addressed and just kind of be like, I'm not making any sudden movements, I'm not doing anything until you talk to me, I'm not... Just very much invisible, just kind of like...
For the duration of the process.
Whatever is
I
going
will
to
ask
happen to me is going to happen to me.
that you attempt to maintain contact with my eyes. If this is too difficult, look instead to the cat. If that is too difficult, look instead to the lamp. But please, at all points, attempt to keep your vision focused on a point.
He nods and does his best to maintain eye contact with you, occasionally
When you are
looking
not.
over to Mo.
When you are not answering questions, please minimize the noise that you produce. If you find
Nods.
would like to ask questions, please retain them. I will provide opportunities for you to respond at fixed points in the procedure. And all right, so essentially, what's going to unfold here is Repose is going to conduct a fantasy void comp test, where he just starts walking through some narrative situations that will provoke emotional responses, and placed in each of them are little conspicuous things that would like stand out and draw the attention of various kinds of demonic influence, but to a person would just kind of smooth over as meaningless details. Like numbers that show up at points, or odd mentions of arrangements of things.
Mm-hmm. Things that would get a reflexive response from any active demon.
Certain combinations of colors, certain sounds being described, and so forth.
Prolonged silences between sentences.
Occasional conspicuous, like, allusion to a fact that most ordinary people would have no reason to know, but is common knowledge in hell. And would, like, immediately prompt a twitch.
I'm gonna ask a question because I feel like Repose might have this on hand as part of exorcisms in this kind of test. Would you have the blue lined paper?
I'm not actually getting the reference here.
The Cecilin laws that are all like you cannot perceive this color of blue are written on paper that is lined with the blue color that you're not allowed to look at.
Yeah, there's probably some blue paper among the objects.
Yeah, it's just that is one of my favorite examples of Cecilin and her laws. Is just you cannot look at this color. All legal papers must be this color. You cannot look at
You
law.
are required to know the laws. You are also forbidden from reading the laws.
Yep.
And yeah, so this will be a very unpleasant but like moderate pressure in this atmosphere. And he will just kind of remain. Yeah, he's going to remain very, very stone-faced and very steady and run through the whole procedure to just check for anything that actually like pops.
Roll me. Ooh, excuse me. First of all, I can say Moat is not picking up anything on DoomSense, and if you popped it yourself, this is narrative time, so mode economy doesn't really matter. You would not either, but you can go ahead and roll me Finesse Sagacity to go through the test.
And let's just put the old excellency behind that. For a nice adequate 4.
All right. There is the occasional tiny reaction to a couple of things, but you are able to chalk that up less to there is a demon in there and more if you spend long enough under demonic possession, things might rub off a little bit. It is less like the idea of throwing if you showed a proper demon that blue paper, its response would probably be to like try and turn and not look and claw up the walls and like scream. And for him, there's just the slightest eye twitch kind of thing. That kind
It's
of
the test that seem ominous to him for reasons he doesn't understand.
And he cannot elucidate, and it's clear on his face. Why is that? What? But it is still a moment of just
And so after this carrying on for a bit of a while, there is a prolonged silence, and then Repose extinguishes the lamp, takes down the curtains that were over the window, and then undoes the bonds on Delos' hands.
He flexes his fingers and rubs his wrists just to check the circulation. Still not saying anything and watching, but
By my estimation and judgment, as a servant of the natural order, you are, at this time, free of any deleterious influence of the Inferno upon the heart or mind. Though you may, for some time, experience some discomfort of the entrails. And then proceeds to just write up a prescription for curative and restorative measures.
yeah, there's just a kind of slight cold sweat on his face as he nods along with that.
You have endured a terrible thing, but you have survived. And to the extent that has currently been appraised, your essence has not been harmed beyond repair. Go in peace.
Thank you.
And Repose will walk away, and it is known to the rest of the crew that now that this has been proclaimed and said, the rest of you can now feel free to do as you want with him. Church business has resolved.
Alright, would the rest of the player characters want to do or talk or interrogate anything first? Milan, Yang...
Milan's
Obsidian.
only interaction with Delos is offering him an orange.
It is clear that he doesn't quite get an insinuation of it, but he very much just takes it, thankfully, and peels it and begins eating it, because it is unclear the last time he ate, but from the looks of it, he is very hungry and thirsty.
Oh, we would have been feeding him.
Again, like, here's the thing, you would have, but
He's
that would have...
been comatose for a day.
Ah, fair.
He has been just kind of zonked out until very recently, so...
It seems like you need that. No. It seems like you're going to need that. I say, with nodding to the orange.
Thank you. Hey,
That out of character later on, if he finally puts two together, realize Milan made a feng shui insult at him of, "Oh, you're cursed."
Oh yeah, no, like that's a very much a later situation rather than he does look up. I may I ask who it was who saved me?
Points at Yang.
Yang
Points at the
walking in
gremlin
actually
child.
with an armful of letters from our shitty friend. Dumps them in front of him. Just starts reading each one of them. And stop me if any of these dig up any thoughts that aren't yours. Anything, jostles anything that shouldn't be there. I'm just gonna read all the letters. And see if any two neurons ping together of like, oh, that dude.
It's the first letter or so, he starts getting confused. And the ones where that starts to have a more malicious turn to the words, there's just this sudden recognition flash across his face. And, like, I can't pick out anything, but there is a very specific turn of phrase that is used in one of them. That there's a sudden moment of just, oh, no, across his face.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go digging.
There isn't really anything that indicates that he was the channel for any of these letters being written, but possession, back and forth, just suddenly gets him an idea of, oh, this is the mindset of that asshole that I was. But he just kind of holds up a hand. Yes, this was the clearly written by the same creature that I fell for the wiles of.
Okay, so this isn't the biggest ruse in the world. He's actually dead. Good.
I sincerely hope he is. He kind of reflexively, upon realization, like clasps at his neck and his breastbone to feel if the necklace is still on his neck, and then breathes a sigh of relief when it is not. You destroyed that thing, right?
Yeah. Well, he really did more of it to himself. Silly.
I should never have believed him. I should have at least gotten a second opinion on the damn thing.
How did you get possessed anyways? Would you like to touch a box or something?
he exhaustively, he just very much sighs in exhaustion. I was approached by a traveling peddler of charms and wards. Of, in hindsight, entirely too auspicious and helpful nature to be truly believed, but at the time I was desperate enough for any assistance that I was willing to listen. And over a glass of wine, several glasses of wine, I confided my troubles and my woes into him, and he offered me a solution in the form of a amulet of good luck and wealth and prosperity.
Yeah.
And Quill. I need to apologize to them. Quill was right. I was so blinded. I was so fixated on every little thing that went right for me that every time something went wrong, I was convinced that I needed to be wearing it more often, that I just didn't have it on enough.
How long were you wearing it?
2 months.
Oh god. Yeesh.
At first, it was only when I was making important decisions. I didn't want to waste the magic in it, but it became a compulsion. I began to wear it to bed. I didn't take it off when I bathed. It soon brought me to a panic to the mere idea of taking it off. And I was convinced. I was convinced it was helping. Every time I had a windfall, it felt like I had made an investment, that it was paying off. And every misfortune just indicated that I needed to have it on me more. I needed to have it help more, and that's when he just kind of slumped his shoulders in exhaustion. That's when I began to start losing time.
I want to own you, but losing it's a pretty fucked up thing when it happened to you.
Well, I can say with absolute certainty, he is dead now. All power he has held is gone.
Thank heaven for that, and thank heaven for all of you and all of your assistance. And
Would hold up a finger. Hold that thought.
there's a kind of grimace across his face of, yeah, I figured something.
So out of character, what do we know would happen? Like, what are the timelines of dealing with this dude? Do we think?
What do you mean?
Like, who would he even turn him into? Is that a situation we're in?
I think at this point, the guild company here is it's believed to be cursed, so it's going underwater. It's only time before the guild shows up and hauls this guy away.
Yeah, whoever is expecting to keep getting payments from him doesn't get payments from him, and then sends somebody out here to break his legs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, frankly,
So-
I mean, the
so I
guild
guess-
probably
Or
won't
he
even
returns in shame before then.
Yeah. If he makes the calculation of, if I go back and I beg and I humiliate myself, and that will end me with the less bad outcome, he'll do that. But that's, you haven't asked him to figure that out yet.
Do you want us to off you, or do you want to just be exiled and we could just like strand you with some supplies and you could just pretend you're dead, or do you want to go back?
Well, he actually kind of looks up. He's very afraid for a moment when you propose killing him, but when you say fake death, he kind of looks up. Can you do that?
Hey, here's a thought. You're a decent businessman, correct? Decent. Maybe not fantastic, but you get jobs done.
He kind of waves a hand dismissively. I thought I was.
Hey, for what it's worth, nobody gets to be the leader of a guild division without being acceptable at their job.
Also, without being someone who throws other people under the rug. But point is, though, is that you've seen what happens when you just do that maliciously without question. You agree. It's not good, right?
He just nods along mutely.
Hey, what if you did that, but good?
I mean, we can't keep him.
You can't stay here. You're known.
Yeah, the power vacuum is there's a power vacuum. You can't go back to where you were. Honestly, I would just say that, like, yeah, we took your head and you're dead, and the dragons killed them, and you can just go be a fucking monk and, yeah, I don't know, like, God will sort you out.
Or go be a
Yeah.
businessman on the other side of the 100 Kingdoms.
The point is just don't do it again, dude.
You have a second chance, my friend.
And if you're offering it for me to take, I will gladly take it, and I will. You can be certain I will do nothing to get back on the nose of the guild ever again.
Okay,
And this is
here's some
where
beef jerky. Here's some clothes. Skedaddle.
and this is where Obsidian leans in a bit closer and goes, "We've cleaned up your mess once.
Yakuman will find you if you do it again. Don't worry.
Don't
Don't do it again.
twice."
Proposal.
There's just a very
Leaning in.
there's just kind of very nervous rictus smile as two Dragonbloods lean in to do the intimidation routine. It's just like no.
One is very tall, very large.
The other's a
other is-
gremlin.
The
The
other
one-
is a very wiry gremlin.
Yep. 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 Anything you say.
But hey, and like immediately pulls back and puts on the smile again. But hey, if you do good and something bad befalls you, but you've been doing right by the 100 Kingdoms, maybe we'll come by and save your ass again. It's what we do.
I'll be in your head twice then.
Yeah.
There's just kind of a flicker of a worried smile at that, but Loon, you were also mentioning something?
So probably as he is finally managing to break orbit and start trying to slink away from this, he'll get one last bit of an intercept from Repose. There is someone you meant to apologize to, who has served you faithfully for 9 years, and rattle off the rest of the specific value that Quill gave.
He nods and is actually looking quite intent about that. He's stopped and thinking for a moment. Would it be possible for an arrangement for us to meet outside of the town, or am I... He trails off, but the insinuation is, are you making me go back into the mansion, into the city myself?
Would look at the rest, say, and wouldn't mind. It just kind of points out, the city is not safe for him.
He just kind of nods, but very just kind of blurred head nodding at that. Of just
Would kind of lean over to Repose. I did kind of incite a riot against him.
Yeah, no, yeah, nodding.
He's not gonna learn anything if we just kill him, you know?
We'll speak to them and arrange a meeting outside of town.
thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you.
You now take this time to separate those who respected you as a leader from those who valued you as an asset, and proceed with a better appreciation of the distinction between those relations.
Of course, yes. No. Praise be to you and the 5 dragons in heaven for giving me this chance and rescuing me from the perdition of my own mistakes. Thank you.
Gives him a thumbs up.
Just is kind of just bowing almost all the way to the waist on the way out. Just kind of giving a constant litany of praises and prayers and thanks.
By
in your
all
direction.
means, direct any due thanks to my grandfather. And then he just trips the guy and lets him slam into the dirt.
There is a pause and a mumble.
Just a light tap on the back with a stick. For this day, you are no longer my concern. Remain that way.
Gets back up, scrambles, finishing the benediction to Passiop, is just kind of scurrying away.
Oh,
Happy birthday to the ground.
It is always a happy birthday to the ground.
I gotta take credit to that. You the fox.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, there's probably a bit of narrative time that happens for the meeting, which that's narratively it just plays off as they, reach an accord of just, hey, I fucked up, didn't I? Yep, and I should have listened to you. I'm sorry. Well, better late than never. And very much a kind of parting of ways of like, I'm not following your ass. I've done enough, and I'm not going into exile with you, but I appreciated you not being as bad as you could be for a guild person. And that's about all I'll give you. And that's basically responded to as like, yeah, understandable, have a nice day. And then packing stuff, getting supplies, and very much clearly heading off into the wild blue yonder, intending to never be seen again by that day of you.
All right, time for a nice public destruction of an effigy. Let's destroy a name.
Okay.
That man no longer exists.
Oops.
So yeah, this would be very much a ceremony that Repose is quite familiar with. Is just, the details can be negotiated in terms of what Repose would do, but the ultimate thing would be
set up a nice wicker man at the site of the battle over the pit that the sludge was all put into. Let everybody heap all of their misgivings about recent events upon it.
Yep, there is no shortage.
Writes off another person in the 100 Kingdoms that is massively in my debt for giving them a second chance.
Get together some of the usual mid-season wood sacrifices, and that's a festival.
Oh, is it time for Woodsmith?
It's always time for Woodsmith.
Oh, one sec. What is the date in game?
The date in game, one moment please, while I look that up, is Sending Wood 18.
Ah, okay. We are not quite at Milan's birthday yet.
I don't know what my birthday is.
Well, what do you want it to be?
Remember to set out bright and early with your pocket grain to throw in the face of someone you care about.
The branch that you tore off of the tree that you can use to whip somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do believe we have done the deed and have solved problems here in the Riftwood Trading Company.
And no things were left undone. That surely won't come back to bite us in the butt because we all have bad memories.
Satisfactory. Case closed.
I would call that a successful riot and revolution.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Well,
Nice to have that
Okay.
settled.
So, thinking
Lovely.
about
And
Thinking
so
well-
they did.
Now, obviously, we're going to stick around a little bit longer to make sure that all like the
Oh, yeah.
trade and all that other stuff is here. So we're going to
And
be
then
here
we
for
left
a little bit.
immediately.
there is narrative time that will still be spent here, and I'm just thinking what else would be happening in the meantime, and also
I had something Milan wanted to do, and now that this is sort of resolved, seems like a good time to bring up. Milan needs to take a quick trip back down to Gonzoda, if that's all right with the party.
How far away is Gonzoda?
A boat
ride.
yeah, boat ride.
warms up the boat.
Milan needs to introduce himself to the local gods of the region he's going to be moving into.
All right. to integrate yourself in the gods. What else would be on agendas?
There was one interval left on the venture for Ringing Steel for sword upgrade to artifact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So
I
yeah,
feel
you would
so,
have
like,
time to do.
a lot of the material work of making the sword was like done
Yeah,
with
it's already been done.
with the earlier sections of it. So I feel like just after all of the dust has settled here, at some point, Repose just kind of scoots over and small talks with Obsidian for a bit before getting to the point of, so how's the sword doing?
Kind of holds it up, swings it around.
You did use it at the vet. Did you notice it's just been upgraded this whole time retroactively and just. But what did you not introduce it when you drew it?
What?
Do you have any poses?
Huh?
To perform with it?
What?
It has a name now. You gave it a name. You gave it new rings.
Huh?
It resonates.
You have to talk to your sword.
Take it out for walks.
You have to talk. You have to keep track. Yeah, it's Tamagotchi now. Congratulations.
Obsidian, did you remember to wash and bathe your sword?
Did you not attune the sword?
Oh shit! I didn't feed my sword.
You're supposed to infuse the sword. You gotta breathe into the sword. You gotta breathe with the sword.
Oh, breathe with my whole sword. Okay, hold up.
Obsidian's sword is scratching at the door to his cabin.
Just take it out and do some moves.
I suppose at this point, yeah, Obsidian would try committing a moat. Is that how?
There's no
Artifact weapons
commitments anymore in Essence. Artifacts just go.
Okay.
But like flavor-wise, yeah, you still gotta get it to resonate with you and apply juice.
Okay. So at the mention of a pose, Obsidian would draw the sword and sort of raise it in front of himself, like sword sticking upwards, hilt down, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And just sees if anything happens.
Roll me force presence.
Okay. Second. Force.
All right. When you pose it, you feel it kind of jiggle ever so slightly in your hands, back and forth, to make the rings jostle, making a tiny bit of noise. Something inside of you, some gut instinct is rings want loud. Loud? Loud, make noise. Existence is meant for noise.
I start to like jostle the sword.
So you've done this before enough with this sword before the rings were replaced to know exactly what force and what you should be using and swinging around and what kind of noises it'll be making. You're used to how this should be going. And then when you start moving it around, you realize the rings are basically throwing themselves around to clatter and make more noise. They are just enthusiastically assisting this.
Oh, it's a dog.
They're just like the 9-ring sword, horrible chain rattling squawk is assisted by the rings themselves going, "Let's make some noise!" and just slamming themselves around.
Okay. It has occurred to me I can offer an assist in this activation. So seeing that this is starting to get going, but that it's still kind of lacking energy, urgency. It's still a little, come on. We got to get into the spirit of cresting a new weapon. Right. So, bit of appropriate signal is given, grave robes form up, and like, that opening scene in the, like, pre-credits of a lot of kung fu movies that is just a fight in a blank room demonstrating tech that's going to be in the movie. Just Repose and the grave robes start doing a sequence coming at Obsidian and letting him block stuff.
roll me force close
That
combat
rolls.
as your assist roll.
That whips.
And yeah, excellence.
This is such a
and
vivid
followers.
This is so fucking
Let's just
good.
have a martial arts exhibition.
Just there is a big public display now of what happens when just like 5 guys with quarterstaves try to slam directly into you over and over again.
All right, roll 6 more dice, Obsidian.
Much swooshing and crunching.
Oh, that's a question mark.
Wow!
Those are D6.
Okay, that's okay.
I fucked up.
66 or 10d6, 7s and upper successes.
There we go. That's a very different set of dice.
Yeah, okay, so that's a total of 9 successes. Yeah, so when the whole Grey Robes and Repose all come in swinging with the staff, and sorry, intrusive thought, I have to respond to chat. It's not that hard to roll a 7 on a d6. Just do season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh, where you roll the dice and it splits in half and blows a guy's head off. Anyway.
I think that happened.
Yeah, it did.
Which one was that? We watched season 0. I don't remember that one.
I thought it was season 0 when he rolled the dice and it split in half.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Season 0 had a lot of very good moments.
Yeah. Whatever. That just entered my brain and did not want to leave. Anywho, so you all come in swinging simultaneously the same swipe in as the parry is going, and the staffs all clash onto the blade on its blunt side, and the rings are all standing straight up and then lean in on their sides to catch the staves. Like, they go from standing straight up impossibly against gravity to leaning in and clutching and holding the staves in place as you try to pull back up, snaring them all. And you're just kind of like, what? And then you just hoist the sword and disarm 6 people at once.
Hwah! Cacophony of staves flying through the air.
And title card of new sword.
Yeah, I didn't write down what the name was.
Title card, Ringing Steel.
Ringing Steel. Yeah, no, that would be the start of the movie for Ringing Steel.
Superior Darter.
All right, and that is the end of Ringing Steel's creation process with a total of, on this roll, 4 extra threshold successes on top
there were
of
13 banked previously, so 17 successes of miscellaneous benefit to
Yeah,
this sword.
we can litigate the sword's benefits either now or off camera, whichever you want to do.
Sword.
Off camera.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no, sword
Features to be
very,
determined.
very, very powerful either way. 17 is a lot of successes for an artifact roll. I think that gives it max evocations and then some additional stuff, because I think an evocation is 5 each. So, either way, that is part of the thing that is done. There is the expedition back down to the area formerly part of the Gonzota Redoubt. You finished up the integration with introducing the god of now deterrence to the region. I was just tallying through my head and through my notes of the.
I think the only one left is me creating the council, which I gotta still think of ways to go about doing that.
Yeah, that could be one of the next things we do. In narrative time and places we go. So Milan, how would you go about introducing yourself or looking around for the gods of a region?
Who wants to throw a party?
You're gonna make a fucking mixer?
What if we have a potluck for the gods? Now, in actuality, I'm gonna first start by asking Repose for advice on, because Milan's sorcery experience is more with like demonology. So, what's the proper way to like introduce yourself to to local gods?
You could just throw a party.
Okay.
Assemble a selection of offerings and see who's willing to bid on them.
God, where am I going to get something to offer? I say, sitting on this pile of stuff I bought from
this giant
Grifted
pile of
nothing.
loot that you've grifted out of the guild. Yeah, you basically could use like princes of your. You could use your princes of the earth benefit this session to just be resources for, and just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I have whatever I need for the party."
Yep. And now, of course, because, well, I'm the person heading this venture, I'm not the only member of this community, nor will I be the leading voice, and thus everyone who's going to be part of it should be there. So let's bring in all the people I've hired and
All right.
to the party.
Everyone, bring it in.
This is just making me think incidentally of, I think it's the Sidereal Charm, where you could just have a no bad vibes allowed on the party, where if you are hosting a formal event, there cannot be violence without breaking your essence.
Building a new city involves a lot of partying. You got your groundbreaking, and your barn raising, and your house warming.
And here we're doing all three. Breaking the barn of old Gonzoda and the new place. Okay, so I'm going to be using meal boosting morale. Meal boosting morale to double nines at this event.
Mm-hmm. All right, so go ahead and roll your pool of choice. I would say embassy, with whatever attribute you want, and then your charm.
Yep. All right, I'm going to. That is 7 successes.
All right. Now what god would answer the call first? I'm musing to myself. 'Cause I don't actually have a list of gods of this region, because I didn't really think it would be relevant, and yet here we are.
Well, the big
That
thing
was your
is,
mistake, is thinking something wouldn't be relevant in a tabletop game.
There's this sudden, recent, really big opening for the gods now that the whole amethyst barrier is gone.
Wait a minute, I have the perfect idea.
Go
on. It tips my hand a little bit. What was the name of the locust delivery god that Doc talked about? That was in the old game.
Swarm of Swift Convenience.
Swarm of Swift Convenience. Got it. I've had this hanging in the back chamber for a while. So, what happens when you begin to throw the party down at Gonzoda and kind of establish the whole, this is the official declaration of what will become a city, and, you know, all of the usual official religious rites you're doing along with the actual practical, bureaucratic, and also practical, logistical setting things up? There is a moment where you hear the droning of wings from the sky, and you look around, and there is what you briefly think you might have had a little too much wine before you kind of have your eyes coalesce as a short and stout figure with the head of a grasshopper carrying a rickshaw is running through the sky. Not like not carrying the rickshaw through the sky, actually just kind of running with the rickshaw arms propped up in the hands, running along with the wheels turning just straight down from the sky above you. And there is a humongous, like, wire mesh box at the back of the rickshaw that is making a deafening buzz of wings that you can barely make out on the inside. Oh, that's a swarm of locusts. And
Hey!
everybody else is just briefly looking at this and just going, ah! And then you're the one who remembers, wait a minute.
I know that guy!
Everybody else is looking at you like, you know the plague god? What? But then, after a while, after a surprisingly short amount of time, actually, just for a guy who's just kind of running, is plummeting out of the sky like a falling star, before skidding, literally skidding to a halt across the ground, leaving a dirt trail on his feet and the wheels as he is running to a halt directly in front of you. Are you, beneath Milan?
Yes, sir.
Pulls out, reaches into a satchel on the back, pulls out a wooden board with a bunch of paperwork tacked to it, rips off a piece of paper, rips off another one, rips it off, finally finds the one, balls up the rest of them, throws them into the grasshopper mandibles and mouth, and begins to eat the paper before gulping. Man, sorry for the delay on the shipment. Man, you would not believe the stuff that has been going on in Yushan lately. Where do you need these? Wait, no, hold on. Double checks the paperwork. Not a deliver. Right, you were. Okay. Throws throws the clipboard over his shoulder. Right, you were the one who just had the misfiling. Right, okay.
Yeah, the bureaucratic complaint.
Right, the misfiling. So, kind of turns around, double checks, kicks the wooden wheels of his rickshaw to make sure they're staying in place, double checks the locks on the box in the rickshaw. All right, now, y'all, you're not getting out now. Buzz! I know, I'll let you out on a memo that nobody has jurisdiction over. I won't report it to nobody. We'll get to it later. This is an off-official business deal. Just hold on with me for a couple hours. We'll be fine. We'll go ruin somebody's day in Iskame or something. Just hold on for a little bit.
I'm gonna offer him the salad bowl.
Oh, no. You keep that away or they're gonna bust out. Well,
Okay.
He actually takes another 15 feet forward and then takes the salad bowl. And then just kind of starts grazing on it. So, Milan, yeah, you were the one who was trying to file a complaint for the Bureau of Destiny, am I right? Everybody else in your entourage is just kind of struck dumb at this point, and is not chiming.
Yep, that is correct.
And I'm assuming, who are these people?
Oh, I'm setting up a new settlement here. The whole cursed deal Gonzoda got resolved, so we're moving in.
Wait, Gonzoda.
The Amethyst place.
Amethyst place. Again, this seems to not actually narrow things down very much for the god, as they're mumbling to themselves. Right. The one that had all the... I don't remember the name of the god of Lookshy off the top of my head. Pretend I said it here. Or that one that had so-and-so losing her hair for a month over the detonation of the General Council. Right, that thing. Wait, hold on. Field turned off already?
Field's turned off.
Really?
Yep.
That wasn't scheduled for another 250 years.
We had to go clear out some real nasty stuff. You know how there's the elements and then there's the opposite.
Oh, yeah. He just kind of does a... One actually has a pair of smaller secondary arms unfold from beneath the robes that he's wearing, and one of them just draws a knife chop across his throat, just kind of like, no, I get it. Don't say no more.
Yep. Yeah, we had to clear that out, but it's just a big rock now.
All right, no wonder the projections are wrong. They got involved. Of course, that, well, I'd say that, the Bureau of Destiny can never catch a break, but honestly, they don't deserve one these days. They need to be fixing their own shit up. finishes munching on the bowl. Hey, you got any more of this?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Keep it coming. Just kind of goes back to grazing on it between mid sentences. So I'm here to report officially, and he actually shifts into a slightly more formal, polite dialect of Old Realm. Officially speaking, I'm here to report that your paperwork was filed in the wrong jurisdiction, and I do not have any power to address any complaints regarding towards, or about the Bureau of Destiny and the most righteous adjustments of the pattern and looms of fate. Unofficially, he says, slipping back into being completely casual. So you got a sidereal that you want to have their pants lit on fire, hmm?
Yeah, he kind of took a swing at me, and I point to Gonzoda.
Alright, I am obligated to ask that, what did you do to earn the swing in your face? Because, like, these guys, I don't know how much you actually know about the workings of this. They're not the kind of guys to come down and throw hands personally unless they're really mad or really stupid.
Okay, so he thought it would be funny if an old hermit's soul got dumped back into another body, and that became a problem for him.
You do what now? There's the sensation that there would be a slow, uncomprehending blink if the locust head had eyeballs.
You know,
Or
a misfile,
eyelids.
like we're talking about, just a misfile.
You know,
Is Yang there or?
No, that's the
not
response that
character.
Milan
Yeah.
gives us. Yeah, he did what sounds like a deliberate misfile because he was bored with his job.
Oh, that. Oh. Hmm.
And now he's trying to clean it up.
So,
and
here's some context that remind me which he's looking around. Which part of creation are we in again? I know it's the east, but like
we're in the 100 Kingdoms, roughly about. We're in that little waterway.
100 Kingdoms.
Big.
You got a map?
I do have a map.
All right.
Milan absolutely has maps.
So you just unroll the map, and he's not looking at the labeling or the words. He's looking at the topography and like the specifically like where like you could tell that his eyes are skimming across grasslands primarily to orient where he is.
Mhm.
Oh, we're out here. Oh boy. You know, you're really lucky that this file ended up on my desk and not somebody else's, because if it was somebody who actually gave a shit about their job, So there's a kind of casual munching. So you want to know a fun thing about this part of the whatever you call 100, the 1,000, this place, this area.
Right.
He's the only one who has jurisdiction over anything to do with endings for gestures with hand over roughly like twice the area of this region. All of that, maybe a bit more. He doesn't have an oversight.
Wait. Is the Bureau of Endings really that underfunded?
Oh man, you're new at this. Oh, well, I need to.
Wow.
Of course, I cannot make any concrete statement one way or the other as to the nature or staffing shortages or lack thereof or bountiful numbers of personnel that enact the will of heaven upon the face of creation. Nor can I make any comments towards any future forecasting or job positioning thereof.
Salad?
Yeah. Just immediately interrupts himself to stuff mouthful of leaves. Yeah. Unrelated to anything that I was seemingly discussing earlier. I'm not surprised that he's been up to some bullshit, because he's been basically out here on his own, nobody really paying attention for...
Yeah, he's... You know how I mentioned he kind of took a swing at me? So that monk soul that he misfiled, that's my sorcery teacher.
Oh, no. All right. Rule number 1: be very careful who you tell that to. Okay, like
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
careful.
I
Like, you are lucky that my job is just getting locusts from point A to point B, and that I'm not a mandated reporter, or else this will
No,
be real complicated.
that's exactly why I'm. There's a
Wait,
reason why
hold on. You picked me on purpose?
I got a good feel on people. God's damn
Slowly
purpose.
crunches a stick of celery. You clever bitch.
I'm quite familiar with the workings of bureaucracies and the people within.
Huh. You know, I wonder if they missed you at some point. Well, I don't know how that works anyway. Don't think I really want to. Seems like the sort of thing where you, lose it a little bit if you start thinking about that too much.
You know, I have a feeling the dragons got claim first in this.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's not my place to talk about, right? So,
Just a moment. I love this conversation. I'm sorry. I'm breaking up. This is wonderful.
I'm having a lot of fun doing it. It's just you wrote a complaint letter that ended up to one of Heaven's truckers.
And
It do be like that.
again, Milan is that RPG character who hits every single dialogue option because I want to know the story.
Let me tell you the lore of this land.
This is a bored trucker that has probably not spoken directly with a human that was not begging for locusts to go somewhere else in maybe 1,000 years. It's just, or they were in heaven. So it's just this very strange, like just this moment where it's just like, I can be candid. Wait, no, I can't. Hold on, right?
And Milan immediately picked up on, oh no, I can pretty much tell this guy everything and not worry. He doesn't give two shits.
I don't give a fuck. I got a schedule. But yeah, he's going back to like grazing on maybe the 4th or 5th salad bowl at this point. It is getting to the point where he is going over to the station where the salads are being mixed and is just starting to sample out of them. You're not sure he has a concept of stopping eating.
Yep. Hey,
He's a locust.
I was wondering, since I'm setting up shop here, do you know any of the locals in this area? Is there like a god of this fork in the river?
Not too familiar with the terrestrial workings, unless they're bitching about sending the locusts somewhere else. I mean, my usual interaction with the gods down here is that they're trying to bribe me to take the rickshaw somewhere else and, go blight somebody else's field, or somebody who wants their actual fields blighted for some pervert reason that has to do with getting kickbacks from their worshippers to try to worship and get the crops back. I don't know. I just take pretty things.
Darren, I just thought of something.
What?
So the fields around here haven't been touched in ages.
No, they haven't.
Can we use the locust to get some clear cutting done?
Dear plague god, please mow my lawn.
I mean, you could ask that in character as he is mumbling.
We got this party on, and do you just want to? There's a field out there no one's really using. Do you just want to let them go? And I'm pointing at the box. No one's gonna complain.
Hold on. He stops and is thinking about it. Turns around, has to go back to where he chucked the clipboard over his shoulder in that show of peak, and then picks it back up and starts leafing through it. All right, hang on. Where are you, local directory? Just kind of reaches into his mandibles with a thumb to just kind of wet it with saliva to flick through the papers faster. All right, who's here? Tree gods, river gods. God of the Fork might know. Oh, they won't give a shit. They're in the road. They're in the water. They don't care. Just mumbling to himself. Elemental. Yeah, no, this is the Boondocks. Everybody moved out after Gonzota. Yeah, anybody big enough is not going to give a shit, or they're not going to be able to complain long enough.
Hey, it's a party. Come on.
Well, you know what? Fine. He reaches into his jacket, or his robes, pulls out a ring of keys, and sorts through them, and Milan can tell immediately a key ring that has a bunch of dummy keys that don't do anything as a decoy. Except this one kind of defeats the point because the important key is black and red and covered in spikes and has a skull on the fob. All right. I suggest you stand back. They're not going to chew on you. They don't really go for anything but plants. But they might
we will them away from the party table closer to the field first.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. They probably would eat the limbs. So he just picks up the rickshaw and then just almost fast enough to be an instant transmission is just like 400 yards away in a dot on the horizon back over towards one of the larger fields of unmown and unlawn grass. And you hear there is a couple of like you with your senses of an exile can kind of hear a very distant jingling, and then the drone of the locusts explodes into noise as this black cloud of insects looms out from it in this giant amorphous blob before descending as a gigantic billion-strong mat onto the grass. And then he pops back over with the rickshaw with the key dangling out of one of the locks. Yeah, they're probably going to be busy for checks his clipboard. Let's see, let's auto-update that, Wow! Wow, okay, Really? That much? Projection says they got a month and a half of food out here if they don't get interrupted. Yeah, that... Shit, my schedule's clear. Huh? Well...
Sweet.
Well, if anybody out here complains, well, I'm just going to be told my last delivery is going to be taking a little longer than usual. I get to have myself a sabbatical. Huh?
Grab another bowl of salad, and it's a party. Come on. Let's have fun. Milan is immediately looking at the name of who is the river fork god on the list.
I don't have it on hand, but you'll have it.
I know, but
yeah, like... spend time awkwardly small talking with Plague Delivery God and find out everyone else who didn't show up.
Let's find out who's everyone else and go knock on some doors and introduce.
There is some more that will be coming out in character from the Locust Delivery God about the scenario. So he kind of pauses for a sec. Now, I'm not one to usually pay... Oh, who the fuck am I kidding? I'm talking to a random dragon blood on the surface of creation. I love gossip. What else do I have to do when I'm doing around hauling shit around aside from listen to people talking about who's doing so-and-so and what and what? Now, he kind of leans in on one of the secondary hands, propping up a chin as the other two hands are still eating when he can. Now, I gotta ask. Are you behind the weird stuff going around in the... Well, you wouldn't know how that works. You wouldn't know how that works. How to explain this? Do you know anything about a local cult being made here? Like a local cult from nothing? Doesn't have a god backing it?
That might sound familiar.
Have you heard of the Aquaman?
I was gonna say, does it like start with a Y?
Something like that. Like the
shit.
The Yicker man, something like that.
Yeah. What's the word with that?
Well, see, there's apparently been a bunch of paperwork addressed to... you're a bureaucrat, you get it. Apparently there's been a bunch of mail, for lack of a better word, addressed to a god that should be up in heaven that nobody's ever heard of. And that's not something that usually does, like...
Do you know Pepe Sylvia?
So usually when we get a bunch of unaddressed mail to a god that don't have a name yet, or a god that we don't recognize, that usually means that somebody's about to be showing up. Then, like, somebody got to roll down here or up there, and they're going to be showing up. I'm not really familiar with all the details of the process and that sort of thing. He says very evasively in a way that says, I know and I really shouldn't tell you. But, usually by now, when this sort of thing happens, somebody shows up to claim the mail, and no one has for like 6 months. And like we got some work stoppages in heaven occasionally. There's, it's a bureaucracy. There's occasionally going to be some small delays here and there, and so, 6 months is obviously quite a bit, but not unheard of. But for something like this, it feels like it's pretty unprecedented. And
table talk.
Hmm?
Can you tell him to forward the mail somewhere here?
I am working out a way in my head of how do I word that, because I want to get the mail forward down here.
Like, I'll take care of the mail. Like, whatever mail heaven sends me, I will do. I guess it's
Darren?
Job?
I would like to give an anecdote from Milan working in the bureaucracy and how they would sometimes. There was one incident where they were receiving a bunch of letters for a similarly named bureaucracy, but it wasn't them, and how they handled it. Essentially, I'm trying to talk into is, I wonder if that's supposed to be going to like
a terrestrial,
terrestrial god down here.
Remember the parasitic orchids?
Yeah.
With the mask I buried? What if I accidentally set up a P.O. box?
What if you set the mask burial with the orchids as the P.O. box and you say, oh yeah, that was supposed to be for a terrestrial god? Yeah, okay. Finesse embassy with a stunt and 9 again. For that as your backup.
I am absolutely throwing an excellency into that to get the biggest number possible.
We got boxes full of Yaku, man.
Alright, so that is
that is 5 successes. Not reroll 9s, double 9s, because we're still on the party.
That is, yeah. So that is, yep. There's a pause of. It is very hard to read emotion on a locust's face that is not very directly one-to-one correlated to human expressiveness. But there's this aura of body language. You're like, but I'm also not really. You bought me a month and a half of vacation, I'll scratch your back kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No, I'll go up and I'll tell him that I talked to one of the priests down here, and there's a terrestrial god that's wondering where all of their prayers and their mail are being sent to, and I'll get that sorted around, and I'll get them dropped somewhere. But if this blows back, neither of us ever heard of each other. You got it?
Heard of what now?
That's the spirit.
More salad?
Of course. Now, is there anything else I can do for you, my fine gentleman?
Okay, off the record question.
To me or to the NPC?
To the NPC.
Yeah, sure.
How bad would it be if I just dealt with the sort of circle on the map, the general area he was referring to with the sidereal? If I just
there's a very visible, just kind of leaning back with the whole body.
Yeah, because he kind of wants my guts.
All right, so first of all, the first step in your problem there is dealing with one of them proper style, and you better have a real good plan or a real good idea or a real good surprise. I'm just gonna put that right on the table right up front.
Well, he didn't see my horse coming when we fought.
He kind of looks over to see Stalwart Daughter and the jiggling bones.
Oh, I've got a story for you. Okay. And
what?
then
he actually stops and actually holds up a hand. What in Malpheus' own name is that thing?
It's a horse.
No, that ain't a horse. I've seen horses. I've eaten horses.
Okay, look, we had to deal with the problem in a deep deep Fey pocket.
Well, hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. You, pointing directly, like with both tiny hands, went into the deep wild, like the Forbidden Zone, the place where like we don't go, the place that we.
I had to build a road using this, and I waved the map.
What do you mean you went outside?
What do you mean you went outside and you came back and you don't look like that? He points at the horse.
Well,
was that a person?
That's all. She's been my closest friend, horse companion.
You're not telling me whether or not that was a person.
She's a horse. She's always been a horse. She just came back without her bones, and that's fine. She can still stand and walk, and she's really good at wrestling.
I think I feel like I know why the Destiny Bureau wants you dead. If it's not his own dead, just munching on salad. Head empty, salad and mouth.
She's a very good horse. You should get to know her. She likes grass too.
This says she's just trying to process. I no wonder the spiders out here have been so. No, nothing.
I am starting to feel bad for the spiders. I say in character.
Well, hold up. You know what the? Who told you about the spiders?
You did. You just mentioned the spider. Okay, so that sounds like an out of context character interaction between me, Bradway, and Milan, the character.
I mean, you've listened to Repose enough that there is probably a little, like, you don't know details about them, but you know that there is probably the weave of fate and the spiders.
Resolution to suggest.
Okay. Yeah, I know that there's spiders and they weave the fate.
Moon?
Other angle to possibly take on this, Milan thinks that they're just talking about, the spiders, the regular ones that are all over the place in the woods. Yes. We have a lot of spiders out here. Yeah, they spin webs. Some of them dig holes, live in trees, or in houses.
Yeah. Okay, so that is what Milan starts going into, and the Locust God is just staring. Yeah, those spiders. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, weave threads.
Legs,
something
eyes.
With fate.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's the answer. Crunch, munch. So, man, no wonder the East Council has been losing its mind. So, last little bit suggestion I would give is, there's a kind of scratching of the mandibles with one hand, thinking. Now, I don't know particularly the postings of anybody, and they're subject to change at basically any time, but I think he's not the only one out here. I think he's the only one out here with Saturn. I think there might be somebody else. I have no idea who. That's how they work. But if you petition the right way, like to the right offices, you might get a better official response, but I'll just tell you right now, if I went and I made a complaint to the offices of Destiny, I'd get my head nailed to a pole. That is not my job, and they don't want anybody interfering. Even if they have somebody who's going off the rails, they want to be the ones dealing with that.
Milan wants to talk to Venus now. Hey, let's have a powwow with Saturn about interpersonal communication and respect.
Just scream cool it at the sky until it responds. So yeah, this is about what I have for...
and after this, Milan is going to take the opportunity to go knocking on the doors of the terrestrial gods and saying hello.
Yeah, I'm not making this roll for a venture. I'm just giving you 7 threshold successes for this venture because of how well this went as a scene.
Yep.
Okay. What a good picture.
That is...
It's good a time as any to drop that in there.
That is the completion of the settling of Gunzoda.
Yep. Oh, shit.
And with that, I have 16 threshold successes, which we can talk about later.
Yep. Oh, the spiders are absolutely marking after Yakuman every time he's up. What are you talking about, anyway? So yeah, there's that, and unsure of what I would do next beyond player input of where you would go and what you would want to do next.
Well, actually, if people are heading out to Gonzoda, Angler, now that he doesn't have to worry about green anymore, sorry, I forgot what color it was for a second, would probably make a visit home because he has some stuff that he was going to, do. So if
Yeah,
we're doing like a bit of a split, he'd probably go do
this
that.
feels like a time span where everyone gets
We'll
to
be doing the
take
personal
some weeks
businesses.
off and disperse for personal
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of, oh boys, we might not cover it all here, but it's gonna be a lot of I wasn't here because I was chasing a madman, and if I came back here, he might chase us. So
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, we can do that for now.
Also, he needs to finish up his gauntlets with his kids.
Yep. So we can do those scenes now if you want to do them in character or out of character.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do the gauntlets thing, and then if there's other stuff we need to brush up, we can probably do next week because it is getting towards a later time, and I have work.
Yeah, I don't want to run too late, but I also don't want to end too early, kind of situation.
Exactly.
So Angler, and would anybody want to go with Angler to the Jade Orchid to see the family, to see Shireen, anybody else?
Propose would
Yeah.
stop over in Jade Orchid in order to then proceed to Trident River for a bit.
Yeah.
Check in on the ambassadors.
All right, so when you get back to Jade Orchid, it is very pleasantly not on fire. You love to see it. It is, in fact, going pretty smoothly as far as you can tell just from the ground level ambience. Nothing seems to be too out of place. You are able to get to the palace pretty easily, and it has already gotten some decent amount of renovations through. It is an ongoing project, obviously, with a large building like that, but you are able to make it to the inside and speak with the people to let in, and then be guided to where Cascade and the kids would be. And the moment that you show up in the door, you would get both Ursula and Polaris flying tackling you.
Yep. He probably wouldn't even ask for directions. He'd just wait for hearing cat sounds and then go, oh, there they are. They're over there. They've got Maine Coons. They make noise.
Yeah. No, they'd be chirping. They'd be making noises.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you turn a corner and the kids see you, and they immediately go from just kind of giving, they're playing with a little stick with a bit of what looks like either silver vine or catnip or some local cat stimulant herb, dangling it over one of the cats who is just kind of drooling and batting at the sky, and they drop it, which the cat just grabs it and puts it in mouth, and then they go flying tackle you.
The cat grabs it and runs because they have a treat and a half.
No, the cat is just it is the cat. Yeah, when you've had a cat on catnip who is stoned enough that they're just on the ground, I'm not moving.
Yep.
I'm good.
This is mine now.
Yep. Ingredients.
You, nope, no, the cat's gonna have fun with that. Hi, you two. How are things?
Hi, Dad. They're just kind of chattering about some of the recent stuff, Granite, some of the new stuff Granite's taught them, some of the stuff Cascade's been up to, some of the stuff that they bought from the local shops, the things that their cats have been up to, the discovery through Shireen, actually, of some of the local herbology of, cats like this stuff, and they had been playing with them recently. It's no, they really, really, really like this stuff.
Is it they like it too much, or?
They're no, it makes them really happy and really just jump around, and you're familiar, it's catnip.
Yes, okay. Yeah, knowing cats and also dogs, sometimes they really like things that are really bad for them, so just making sure.
Polaris is we tried to give some of people food to the cats and Mom got mad.
Fair. Fair. Okay. Well, you're learning, and I see one. I'm guessing the other one's off somewhere else.
I think he's hiding under the cabinets.
Smart move. I just give a quick look over the he'll come out later. Anyway, picks both of them up. We're gonna go talk to. Oh God, you two are getting heavy. We're gonna go talk to Mom because I have good news.
We're not getting heavy. We're getting stronger, and your muscles are getting smaller compared to us.
Girls, there are many things I'll play along with, but have you seen my muscles? They have their own muscles. That's not happening.
I know, but that makes me. But when we get bigger, then yours get smaller in comparison.
No, I can't win this one. Never mind. Coming along on shoulders, and we go.
They just kind of hoist up happily and go along. And as they go in, and Cascade is at the desk, not actively doing paperwork or anything. She's just kind of reading a book and looks up. I heard enough of the chaos that I heard you were here. Welcome back, Sasha.
Hello, hello. I have two ne'er-do-wells that seem to have found things that their cats really enjoy.
Oh,
causing
Shireen
a bit of a ruckus.
Oh no, Shireen has already introduced into it, so they're going to be finding it in the gardens even if we tried to cut them off. I think the cats like it anyway.
Where is Shireen?
Pretty sure she's down by the monastery adjunct on the east wing.
Mm-hmm.
Believe she's doing her afternoon observances.
Angler's going to, via Hearth, find out where Repose is and send a message over to Repose where she is, just to help out in case he was heading over there.
Mm-hmm.
Just that pause, kind of half, vague look in his eyes, and then snaps back, right, sorry, business. Had to tell my brother where his apprentice was.
She nods. So you're all still in one piece?
Yes. I am in one piece. Other things are not, and everything's fine.
Is this a conversation we should be having without the kids, or
no? This is the problems the kids can have. Reaches into bag. Here you two go, and he pulls out there's not much left behind from demons, correct? I'm not talking any gore thing or whatever, but it would be some arm guard or shoulder pad or something.
Like a dulled claw.
Yes, one for each of you.
Oh, what is this? When one of them is holding a blood ape talon, and one of them is holding a devenomated and dulled clipped stinger from one of the scorpion demons.
Things that I totally didn't take from anything violently.
Dad, it's bad to lie, Ursula says.
It wasn't violent for me, totally for them, but it's a nice display piece.
What are they?
This one's a stinger. Think of it like a really, really big bee's butt.
You punched a bee, Dad? Bees are nice. You told us bees were nice.
These are those really nasty hornets that we don't talk about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm glad you punched that one.
Uh-huh. And this one is a claw from... I actually, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember exactly where this one came from. Things got a little fuzzy.
I'm going to pretend it's a really big cat.
Done.
They both kind of look at it, and they just kind of are both sitting and looking at him. And Cass is like, "Hey, girls, why don't you go show Granite those and see what they think about them?" Okay. Yep. And they just go scamper off. And
please do not actually hit Granite with either of those. I think it's fine, but just on the safe side.
Cass,
I'm going to regret those.
Cass gestures with her hand, and the doors close behind you. Just again, it's just a slight elemental flex to move the door shut.
Show off.
All right, what were those?
Well, one of those came from a blood ape, and the other one came from a demon I don't remember because, like I said, things got a little hazy.
Well, you're all in one piece, and you said that your hearth was in one piece and that other things were less good, but everything is fine, so I'm assuming that you and your brother Repose had a grand aunt.
So, one of those idiots that we had been chasing went to Bush, and we had to ferret him out before he started coming after all of you. And when we ferreted him out, he had a lot of backup. and he summoned a whole host of just the worst kinds of things. And in order to keep the rest of my hearth safe, I kind of pulled them all onto me. And then I don't remember the next 30 or so seconds besides just constant motion. And when I looked up, a lot of them were in pieces. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly what I did, but I did a lot. And that's going to come back later.
Roll up your sleeves.
Yep, rolls them up.
Gets up, leans in, tracing her hands up and down the arms. No new scars.
So I learned something new though, and he flexes into that technically dodge, but we use it as a cool parry move thing. Just wrapping water around. It works, but I can't move when I do it. But I had to pull them to me, otherwise they're going to go to. Out of character, I actually forgot what she called Yakuman. Gremlin? Did she call him a gremlin?
She's called Yang several things. The dog was usually one of them.
Yeah. Not going to call him a dog, but Yang was protecting someone, but Yang protecting someone means Yang's not protecting himself, so I pulled them to me instead.
Yang has a protective instinct?
We needed to make sure that person didn't die so we could figure out all the terrible things he did.
There we go. That's the protective instinct.
Yep. I think you're giving him a little bit too little credit. Excelsi was something a long time ago. He's changing. He's becoming something special.
She gives you an even look in the eye.
I know exactly what I'm saying.
No, I trust you on that. If there's one thing that I know not to mess with, it is the hearth bond, and if you can feel that through him and you believe that he's improving, then I'll take your word for it.
I mean, he's still a little shit, but at the same time, he is improving.
Now there's the Sasha I know. Equivocation the moment you think that I'm thinking anything about you that might put you in a position.
Uh-huh.
Just gives you a little flick on the shoulder.
Well,
I am very impressed that you don't have so much as a scratch on you after that kind of story. I will be checking with Repose to see if it really was that many demons, but...
Oh, you'll get a much more matter-of-fact story from Repose on that. Also, and he reaches in and pulls out... I'm going to, just out of character, when he was talking to Clearheart, he did get some medicines from her and stuff because he figured she would want some, and pulls out... I did find something from a local doctor in the area who had some different medicines and stuff, and she'd probably want to meet with you someday, but at least we can start a correspondence with her, and hands out all the different medications and stuff that he found. Most of this is from swamp stuff, so we'd have to do a little bit of a walk, but we might be able to find something similar around here. Also, she yelled at me a lot, and I probably deserved it.
Woman after my heart, then.
Yeah, you two would get along famously.
I'm sure then you got along famously with her, then.
It took me a minute. We kind of rushed things by not doing...
Really?
By not doing what I should have done 2 days it was a thing, but...
Really do go on. This sounds so unlike you.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I'm working on it.
She's just got this big smile, like a genuinely big, warm smile on her face as she kind of pushes you in the shoulder again. You're alive. You said hello to our daughters. You came back with presents for them. And you came to me and explained what you did immediately, in a way that suggests that you know that what you did was right, even if the way you did it had some hiccups. I'm proud of you, Sasha.
I'm worrying they're worrying.
Shut up and take the praise.
No, Yang's wearing off on me that way too. Hiss.
So what exactly did you do to provoke so many demons trying to kill you, huh? So this is a what didn't you do situation, huh?
What didn't we do? Well, I mean, one of us might have provoked this demon's buddy by sending a message to heaven about them. and
Blink.
other things.
Blink.
Look, I'm not going to say who it was, although if we're using correspondence and you know exactly who that was. But the thing is, it worked out. And most of them are gone.
Most?
Still working on it.
Alright, when you say most, is this like most as in most of the rats in a house? Or most of my leg is off?
Like, we got most of the rats, but we didn't get the big rat. We're working on big rat.
Alright.
And, Heaven Spider Rat? I don't know how to say that one. That makes sense.
What?
We pissed off a sidereal.
The way you said that says that I should be much more angrier than you than I should if I knew what you were talking about.
Well, let me rephrase it. One of our party did, and then since we hung out with him, we all pissed him off by proxy, and then message was sent to them, and then now he's just mad at all of us because he's incompetent and he needs to get rid of us to make him seem better.
Oh, so it's like you pissed somebody off from home.
Yes, exactly. I really thought Heaven's bureaucracy would be better than the islands,
Wait.
but it is. I wanted to believe, damn it, but it's both better.
No.
and worse.
You okay? You let in with the word, but you didn't explain what it was. You pissed off a bureaucrat from heaven?
Yeah, huh?
Directly.
Not me. The others did, but I'm indirectly involved. Yes.
Ugh.
Don't worry though. Milan's horse totally took him to the derf.
Wait. Wait.
Uh-huh.
Points to sky.
Yep.
Them.
Uh-huh.
A horse.
Yes, the horse won. It's a very good horse.
Are you fucking with me?
I really wish I was this good of a storyteller, but I'm not. I'm just telling it how it mostly happened. The horse did a really good job.
You have entirely too much of a sadistic smile in your face to actually be telling a lie about this.
I get nothing out of lying in this situation.
Except... Oh, never mind. She just shakes her head.
So when you feel like you're reaching a conclusion, I do have a
Yes, it's
an
gonna be.
interruption.
Yeah. Is there anything else
Much
Angler
more
would want
skippers
to?
on.
Yeah.
Most of that would just lead into just chatting and catching up with her. But again, we can go over to Repose, or if Repose interrupting
Well,
at this
I have
point.
an addition to that as well. That
yeah,
probably
sure.
around like whatever next flare up of Angler not having the right details to give in the right order to avoid making this sound much worse than it is.
What?
There's just a ding from over on the desk, as we now suppose that there may be some sort of bell that then gets swatted a couple more times excitedly, just out of enjoying the sound that it made. And Mode is there, having just placed down an envelope that you can firmly see from like a side of it that's been thoroughly crimped. He has just carried in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
How does he do that?
Don't worry about it. And then it's going to go over and take note and
And
Who do you think you married?
give scritches.
And Mo will accept some scritches, but the moment you reach for the envelope, though, he will reassert presence over it, and then, acting very carefully, just take one paw, extend one claw very slightly into an inkwell on the desk, and then it's very awkward to see him, conduct these movements, but he does just very slowly go through, tracing out simplified Old Realm characters on a vacant bit of the envelope surface. And just kind of writes out something to the something that, like, in its, like, base character form is something like Water's Hand moves flesh. But once you assemble that together, it comes in, it resolves into fish. Give fish.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what Angler was already going for. It's like, there's fish, food.
Yeah, he finishes writing it and gives you a chance to look at it, and then just kind of starts slapping the word that he was
bell.
put down.
Dang, 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 dang,
Touching the
dang,
bell
dang.
again.
You have some fish nearby we can give this poor cat. Actually, hold on. I have
Cascade,
better.
as you look over to Cascade, she is just reaching for her glass of tea and is just drinking it without breaking eye contact with the cat.
Hold on. I have a way to get this. Girls, I need a fish.
Okay,
2 fish.
upgrades.
I sent them halfway across the building so you wouldn't have them overhear you, you idiot.
Yes, but then they would immediately turn around and listen.
No, when they had something exciting to show Granite.
Fair.
If
Okay.
if you're looking for dried fish, she lifts off a cabinet. As she is saying which cabinet drawer it is, Moat actually jumps down off of the desk before you even go and starts going towards that cabinet as she cuts herself off right after she gives the last critical bit of information, just like... What? And you hear from the other room a sudden, very surprised...
Oh, right. She's got a cat too. Ooh, steps to the left, out of the way.
The cat from under the cabinet just scampers in a giant ball of puffed up, terrified hair of just like, and it just scampers under Cascade's desk. And then about a minute later, like not a minute, like there's this rattling of drawer, and then Moat walks back into the room dragging a like salted and dried herring in behind.
May I have the envelope now, Moat?
It's probably just a bit of a huh? What?
You need to let the envelope go so you can eat fish.
And then just like a moment to need to like stop and compose and think about it, and then just like a full body cat nod, bow, thing, and then resume, seize fish, flee with prize.
Yep.
By the way,
By
where's
way
your
of
cat?
beast uplifting method, Moat is now very clever, and instead of gaining speech, I've decided he is now fully literate.
I love it.
It's amazing. I've been waiting for this to go. But when you ask where's your cat, she still drinking her tea, gestures to the top of her bookshelf where there is a pair of glinting eyes in the light as one of the other Maine Coon kittens is poking the head out at the noise and just is like, what's that? Very much an interrupted nap kind of expression.
Because the other two, I forget what her cat looked like exactly. Well, whatever. But gonna go say hi to cat, because I forgot to leave hand up so they can sniff, and then let them go back to sleep.
Just very much sniff of recognition and hello, and then going back to, well, that was fucked up, and sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's Moat. Anyway, what's in the envelope?
So just in there is Repose's written report that he has composed about recent incident.
Yes. So she, as you open it and you start reading it, she just swipes it out of your hand with one of hers as she drains the cup of tea, puts it down, and about half, it's like her eyes are visibly about a quarter to halfway through the letter as she's reaching for the teapot, stops as her hand is on the handle of it, reads another couple of lines, takes hand off of teapot, reaches under desk, pulls out unmarked bottle, pours that in teacup instead, and takes it as a shot.
Yeah,
so
that'll
report would
happen.
have important facts of the incident and then taper off into the just miscellaneous expectations that we have about what is going to happen post Riftward Trading Company, swamp-wise.
You know, marrying you is going to be the death of me.
Yes. But it'll be a fun ride.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
You really-
Nope, go ahead.
No, she just is just shaking her head and putting the letter down and smiling despite herself. You know, 3 or 4 of these letters ago, I probably would have gotten a lot more upset and angry with you, and much more averse to the idea of moving off the island and doing all of this and risking your whole livelihood. At this point, it feels like you're just too stupid that heaven doesn't know how to stop you.
Yes, that's how our group works. We build on each other's stupidity. We reach a total,
It's like the. She stops for a moment. It's like the Thousand Scales keeps assuming that everyone else in the other Thousand Scales is only exactly as corrupt and stupid as they are, or they're smarter. And they only plan for those 2 instances. And they never plan for a total idiot who doesn't know the rules that are written down or unwritten to just come in and start flipping tables over and burning shit. They just everyone expects decorum. Everyone expects there is a minimum rule set that you'll follow, even if you're a complete shitheel. And then in you come, and you just drop your pants and you take a shit in the light of the stars, and you say, "Fight me."
Up until that last bit, I was with you, but I would not do most of that.
He's
Most
just
of our
staring
group
at
would.
you with a completely even look.
I'd feel super awkward trying to do that. I don't think I'd be able to do it. But the point is, yes, we do walk in and just cause a ruckus of things because people don't expect ruckuses to just happen. They expect there to be 3 to 5 days of knowledge of ruckus coming so they can prep for it, but we just kick the door in because, man, that just keeps working and we're going to keep doing it until it stops working.
And when it stops working, I'm going to bury your grave if it doesn't take it with me.
Bury my grave?
You know what I fucking meant.
What? No, I'm sorry. I don't get to bury my grave. I'm going to live forever. You know it. I'm too stupid to die, like you said.
When you go to heaven,
6 steps away.
Oh no, she just slumps back into her chair, sighing with a smile. Where are they gonna reincarnate you at? Because grass is not even that. Grass is too high. Worms.
Oh, I mean, I could talk to some people about that. I think something that can wrestle, because that's just too much in the bones at this point. It's gonna go on for forever and ever.
No, you're gonna come back as she's like thinking to herself now, much more intently than she seemed to have initially thought. Like very much had brought it up as a joke, but now is seriously giving it a thought. Just you're gonna come back as a parasitic fluke on an anglerfish.
I'm okay with this. Because that's only going to last for a little bit of time. And then I'll come back as a crab. Because wrestling.
You are so lucky that you are so lucky that I love how stupid you are. I married a moron, and honestly, and at the end of the day, I think I kind of prefer it like that.
Yeah?
She just puts the bottle on the table. Let's catch up proper, honey.
Yep. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, that's scene transition. So that would be 2
Winner of the scene, me, because I got someone to groan. I only took 45 minutes.
And that was the first audible over camera groan. You got several
2
others.
more lives, you shall become crab. Auspicious.
It's like the concept of stream returners in Buddhism, but as approaching crab instead of nirvana.
Yeah, all those reincarnations, they were going up. We got to go down a little bit for the thing on the anglerfish, but that's fine. They go right up to pinnacle form, crab, and then we're good. Or can you go from there?
So yeah, Repose set the scene for visiting Shireen. If you want to do it in character. If not, that's awesome.
Just kind of heads up to front of monastery and waits outside door. Just looking at it.
The first person to come out and visit you is actually Shireen's cat. Pokes head out door, and then gives slow blink over to Repose, pops head back in, and about 30 seconds later, a very excited Shireen in that stride that is very much a walk that 2 steps ago was a sprint that I'm trying to make look like I just walked here very casually, walks out the door. Propose! I wasn't expecting to see you! And Cat is in arms.
Yeah, just kind of quiet, smile, nod.
I'm glad you're okay. I've been a little worried with all the stuff that you've been doing out here, but I'm glad that you're back okay, and I'm glad you came to check on I'm glad you're visiting.
This year remains unfortunately eventful, but despite that,
She has a
we
little bit of a
endure.
worried, fretting face about that. Are you okay? Is everything going all right?
We could discuss further in more proper chambers.
Oh, of course. Let me show you inside. And she moves the door aside and steps aside. And as you walk by, Cat reaches out with head from arms to just head bonk on shoulder as you walk by.
Provide firm, full body length single pet of cat.
Mm-hmm. So you go inside, and the monastery has been obviously touched up a considerable amount since the last person here. Shireen has very obviously been busy, cleaning it up, dusting it off, rearranging things into new geometric order, putting in a bunch of her old stuff, and putting in some collections that she's obviously ordered in, probably with funds loaned to her, or just given to her by Cascade. There is a large bookshelf and scroll depository, and from a glance at it, probably a good third of them are about gods of the Shogunate era from this area or areas nearby. Just general tomes of, the old names from out here. So she sits down. Can I make you a cup of tea or something? A glass of wine? Sake? Anything?
Whatever you were already having.
I believe
Do
there's
not
still.
allow me to interrupt.
Oh no! There wasn't really much to interrupt after. I was just doing some reading, and she just goes over and double checks the temperature of the teapot and the level of it as she lifts it up, nodding to herself as there's still enough as she pours out a pair of glasses. And yeah, there's a scroll on a table nearby that she had been perusing that was just one of the historical texts.
Trying to remember the name of the other guy who is here.
Flowing River was the mortal apostle, or the mortal immaculate.
Yes, is our nephew in? Has he been well?
Flowing River? Oh, he's been wonderful. He's been very helpful in helping me get settled and understanding some of the differences between how things are practiced out here and how things are practiced on the realm, and how things are practiced, between different sects and other people here, and what festivals are observed out here and more often than are in the realm. It's because, with different gods and different levels out here and different seasonal variations and different topographies, and she catches herself. He's been great. He's been wonderful. I believe that he's out doing some of the rounds of the city to just to do check-ins on some of the other people, though.
Yeah, more smiling, nodding. That is good. It would be most appropriate for me to conduct what business I have here today with the 3 of us present, though if you feel he will be too greatly delayed, I could first speak with you and then in turn with him.
She nods.
When he is available.
Of course. Yes. Yeah, yes. She sits
You might
down.
notice, pointing at the vacancy on his shoulder, my own faithful associate. He's about his own work for the moment. He may need his own time to return to his station.
She nods. Of course, of course. I need to thank you again for your gift of the cat jumps up and she just is gently petting. She's just kind of looks a little embarrassed. I called her Chalcedon.
And you will look at the cat. Does cat twitch? Does cat recognize and respond?
Cat recognizes name, ear twitches, and yeah, it's a fairly, palish blue, mix. It fits the name. It's the right color.
A fair start.
She reflexively fidgets a little bit and smiles at that. It's the first time I ever got to name a pet, and I'm glad you. I think she likes the name. I'm glad you like the name.
Seasons will tell what else you find to call her over time. It's given a bit of a just preemptive look at cat of you yeah, you're gonna do a mischief.
There's a very languid blink and twitch back of just we'll see. So, you said that there was the things that you wanted to catch us up on.
Yes. And just a bit of a steadying and composing, small cough, various other just repose isms.
Mm-hmm.
And a bit of waiting, engaging, and making sure that she is appropriately settled in.
Yeah, she's willing to sit and listen. Well, not willing, more in position to sit and listen at this point. Has gotten the happy jitters and flaps of seeing repose again. Mostly through system, and is now able to focus more directly.
To begin with the focal point, we got one. Of the 3 principal beings, which we have determined to be most responsible for this year's misfortunes in the area, one is thoroughly no longer among the living, and has not subsequently taken up some manner of corresponding place among the dead.
That's good to hear.
He has been thoroughly unmade and rendered unto the filth from which he was composed.
Excellent. That's always a good thing to hear with that kind of being. What happened? What kind of monstrosity did you have to confront? I hope that you and yours are okay.
An example of one of this new sort that seems to be coming about in the present era, to which I can now tentatively begin to place some names. And he will start, unfolding the series of events about how things went over in Riftward. And from that, it is now known that this being and perhaps, in turn, others which may exist of its rank and nature, are known as Green Sun Princes.
There's like a solid, like, 1 second, 2 second, face contorts into maximum possible disgust.
Quite. Yeah, just kind of look of same. It is perhaps ultimately fitting and unsurprising to learn that what remains of the first of those which our ancestors cast down have, after so long imprisoned and separated from the world, decided to imitate the next of those which our ancestors cast down.
Angry vibrating.
I cannot begin
Like,
to
actually,
speculate
like,
on
jittering
the...
her chair level vibrating.
I cannot begin to speculate on the particulars of the nature, the means by which this has been brought about, but the Yozi have learned to anoint champions in a way more comprehensive than previous creatures of the sort. They do not directly claim the flesh, the essence, the underlying substance. The victim, well, again, this I begin to wander into
Exaltation,
speculation. I did not have.
She actually cuts you off for a second. Exaltation rather than possession.
A way of saying such.
Did this thing give you any indication as to how recent this phenomena is, or is this something you're only now noticing? Is it as new as it looks like, or is it something that they have been doing so for how long?
I suppose from the investigations that we have done, as yet we have no proof that this being had attained its status or held it for any particular length of time. It seemed young. It was as yet unrefined. We were able to overpower it, and by the usual, there's definitely like in-universe metrics for thinking about how quickly somebody
Yeah.
ranks up in juice.
Yep.
Yeah, but Repose has a much more technical way to say, yeah, he felt like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. She's just growling and grumbling.
I'll be honest.
If
it felt
any
more like a
older
3.
such beings exist, they have perhaps been held in reserve, or perhaps have failed to bring about their presence. And of course, Repose will be able to ease the tension by talking about exactly how thoroughly this man was defeated and destroyed.
Yeah. Just every last detail of his humiliation, including his annihilation.
Complete fitting of the investiture of his apparent patron. He met his end, crying, screaming, and blaming all other things which he could name for his misfortunes.
There is a
He wanted nothing, he sought nothing. He was comprehensively divorced from victory.
There is a very grim smile on Shireen's face at that. Good. May all the ones who follow in that path meet as humiliating as fate, and be an example to anybody else who would take that offer. If it was such an offer, and if it wasn't his own innate vileness.
And then Milan just shot him in the head with a gun.
Yeah, definitely include that. And then Milan just kind of put a beam through his face.
There is a moment of her breaking out of the anger or anxiety. There's a brief moment of just a bit of starry-eyed, oh, nice.
He didn't move.
Specifically when Milan is mentioned. Like, she very much is respectful and looking up to you when you were talking about the moves you were doing against the Vitriol, and that's what... When you mention Milan, there's the look of happy recognition, and when you mention that Milan blew his head off with lightning, there's just this look of, ah. But then she composes herself again.
One less unpleasant thing now stalks the night, and as if we have ever needed further reminders to remain mindful stewards of the natural order and protectors and shepherds of humanity, we have it.
She nods firmly at that. I'm... It's frustrating to... Very much a situation where you can tell that the words are in her mouth, and it is a situation of trying to make herself say them. I understand that heaven moves at its own will and its own pace and its own way. It is still frustrating to offer prayer and offer wisdom and seek insight and tell them of the things that you and yours have been doing and such things that have been moving forward and the world and all the troubles, and have to try to interpret a flock of birds for my answer.
Yet look of same.
Just once, if I could just... Very much is aware what she is about to say is very much heterodox. If only I could just talk to one of them. If they would just be willing to come down, open a channel, or even speak with, or have one of the terrestrial courts very... I speak above my station. I'm sorry.
Do you, though?
There's a genuine glance back up of confusion.
Who in this house outranks you?
In this house alone? No one. At least in spiritual matters, Madame Cascade is the one who is in control of the political, but... She still looks fairly confused.
Your hesitation is understandable. You've come a long way from home. And this is the sort of thing that one is not easily acclimatized to. But I will remind you of what I had to say to you and to Madame Cascade and the others of her household when you came out here.
Even if
Before all else, to remain mindful of and to carry with you in your heart spirit of Gaia's highest law. Adapt or die. The heavens move at their own pace, and dragons move at ours. I found this year, for all its faults, has provided ample supporting evidence of the efficacy of action over deliberation. It is one thing to try to petition for aid over evidence and omens and investigations. It is another to arrive before the altar with the head of one of your enemies and duly request that those above give some regard to your pursuit of the next.
Shireen closes her eyes and lowers her head slightly, deep in thought for a moment. It was by the grace of heaven that the Solars had the mandate before we took it from them. And that mandate is ours now. But we took it. Because it was right.
Sharin, we can do better than steal their mandate. We can bury it. We can obsolete it.
We can make something better and dare them to break it down.
Radicals.
I saw.
Good.
I saw quite well on my way in here. Then you are read in the classics of the preceding era, the middle era,
She puffs
For the
up
times-
reflexively at that.
of the times between when we took hold, when our forebears took hold of their destinies, and the misfortune which ultimately brought rise to the dynasty. From which you hail.
Just because the realm did it best so far doesn't mean that we can't demand better. If we are the custodians of the world, and the world is crying out, and those who say that they assist us are not, there's just this kind of fractured, uneven smile across her face. And who are they to say? To those with the mandate of creation, what is and is not their right to set creation right. We've been given the right to correct the wayward gods of the terrestrial when it is clear that they have lost their way. What makes heaven different aside from access?
Now, their high perch does grant them certain advantages, owing to their perspective. And when they make good use of it, then they should receive as they are due.
They should be respected and honored as they are, yes. I didn't realize... The schools never put me in a position where I was in a position to make the petitions myself and to be in charge and to be the one who's ultimately responsible and the one who's making the contacts and expecting the answers and interpreting the signs. And so I always assumed that clearly heaven was doing what it could, and now that it's just me, that there's nothing for them to fall back on. She gestures back at the bookshelf. I've read what they could do. I know when the gods of the courts walked the earth. I know the falls of the contagion. I know the bloody wars of the shogunate and how both inheritors, or the whole of the inheritors, would be claiming the will and the backing of heaven in one way or the other, and oftentimes they would have it be proven. They would have the active support of heaven, the active shown support. I know they can do it. So why aren't they?
Nodding, sipping beverage.
The cat in her lap is just very slow purr, leaning back as Shireen's face is just kind of hardening into a very determined look.
Now, that is at least two questions in one that you've just stated. One could say that in general principle regarding all affairs beneath the sky, or in regards to any number of more specific times and places. And Repose is willing to conduct space politics chat for a while, and just at each point be willing to, appropriately ground and direct and moderate.
Yep.
And all right, yeah, let's talk shop for a while, fellow priest.
Just extremely, this is the first crack in her worldview
Seasons,
of
right?
radicalization of just okay, you've run out of excuses as to why you're not helping, and you're not answering me when I ask what the fuck. So now I'm mad. And now I'm listening to other sources, and Repose is here to be hello, you also are having this moment.
Hi, welcome to the provinces where every one of us is a general practitioner. How many other spawn of dragons lived in your grandmother's house? Any? Wow, such luxury.
Yup. Yeah, just the whole conversation, Shireen. It's like watching a sword be sharp. It is just this slow, grinding inevitability, shaping a bladed edge out of a roughly hewn shape, as it is just an inevitability building up in her mindset of just realizing, what? There's a lot that they didn't tell me, and there's a lot that's obviously bullshit in hindsight, and I need to do some reevaluation, and maybe some punching, but mostly some reevaluation.
You should do some punching. Feels real good.
probable conclusion to work towards is like, all right, you know what? Among other, continuing to carry out business here, we should try to find you some peers your age, and you should establish your own circle.
Mm-hmm.
With a natural rider on that, if nothing interesting happens over the next 20, 30 years, we will effectively be of the same generation at that point.
Yep.
That will converge at some point. When you catch up, whatever's happening a couple of decades from now, maybe then we go adventuring together.
Yep.
And we will put things into practice. We will conduct experiments.
Praxis, motherfucker.
Okay, question though I do want to
Sure.
put in there. Out of this scene. From Sharin, or then also from River. The Inquisitor. We have heard fuck all from that guy since Yang stole his mail and kicked him in the face.
I will be upfront out of character. That was kind of a drop plot thread because that plot thread that was going to go somewhere got burned. So I was just kind of like, he goes home and he.
In which
he
case,
died.
yeah, just kind of acknowledging and formalizing then that, yeah, has he been feeling okay? How is he doing?
He's basically gone back to his
He
posting.
mad? He vexed?
He's vexed, but also realizes, okay, I lost the power play. Someone else independently has set up this place, and it is a very stupid idea to incite a religious civil war when there's anathema around. So he's basically just gone back to his monastery and just gone cold. That's
Sorry,
basically
friend.
what that
Maybe
plot
next
line.
decade.
Yeah.
And yeah, just importantly, for all the friction that can and should exist between us, in the broadest view of things, we do remain on the same side. All that I have learned and have imparted onto you on the subject of this new enemy should be passed on to him and to all others of the host to better equip us to defend the world against whatever this is that has joined the ranks of the opposition. Pray that we find the strength to bring about a world where we can afford to beat each other senseless over differences in interpretation of scripture.
She actually starts giggling quite hard at that. A world where Pelops Deled would live in happiness. She kind of blinks. Sorry, you would likely not know.
Yeah, Rapoja kind of who? What?
Yeah, no, to her, that's just something that she would expect any other religious scholar to instantly understand until she realizes, wait, right, no, not.
I am
not
from
Roma.
small town. I do
Yeah.
not know of your boxers. Was the other question to further put upon then? Hey, have you seen the behemoth?
The
heard the
the
behemoth's
large
acting weird.
jellyfish-like thing. Yes, I've actually taken a trip out to make my introductions and observances towards it. Much like I rather expected from one of Gaia's own begotten, it didn't seem to pay me much heed, but I felt proper in doing so.
As we've heard that in recent times it has been behaving oddly in its choice of paths across the sky.
I heard
have-
that
Oh, yeah, her first.
I heard that it had never come quite so close to the roads as it had before. So yes, I can confirm that the local talk is backing that up.
We have firm reason to believe that its confusion is the result of interference with the local dragon lines.
Bewilderment slowly shifting into absolutely horrified. Wait, you can do that?
And that, in turn, this disruption to the foundational flows of the nearby lands should imply the location of one of our remaining adversaries. Any characteristic information that you can...
There is a very slight
that you can
tremor.
locate.
There is a very slight tremor in her whole body, as you can just feel without her saying it. You don't know if she realizes it or not. She is biting back the words, "I want to go with you."
Slide in. Hand on shoulder. If this produces the opportunity I expect of it, we will need every hand that can be spared.
Wiggling intensifies. I won't be a burden.
No word response is necessary. Just kind of lean in and lightly headbutt. Just a little bonk. Just why are you being silly about this?
Just slight recoil backwards before realizing intended, then just kind of full face flush of just then looking away and just mumbling something approximating "thank you."
And, besides, to create the opportunity that I would hope for, I will need every hand that can be spared.
I will do everything I can.
As we all. Moat then probably crashes onto the table triumphantly
With the entire
fish,
salted herring.
with entire saltfish that he has not even started to bite at yet. Look, I did it.
Boss, look at it!
Prize, victory.
Just like knocking the tea kettle slightly askew in the middle of the tender moment, just like, yeah, got it! It's
Mo
the
just-
other cat in Sharine's, like Chalcedoni's, just like, ah!
Moat just like goes over to some of the like inscriptions and decorations on the side of the backpack altar, and just starts poking at words that he wants to convey. Just victory, prize, triumph, yeah. Mo did thing.
Sports,
Football.
sports. Shireen leans over and just is staring and is growing more and more wide-eyed. Is he talking? Yes, sports. Yes. Yes. Jaw dropping slowly. I think that's a pretty good spot to call it for the night. It is a little past usual time, and that is a really good scene to end on. Holy shit.
Cat with Ouija board, slapping furiously at letters.
Cat, what is your favorite room? F
Give fish.
I S H. Yes.
Well, that doesn't
yes,
make any
yes,
sense.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. A hunt has started. Oh no. Next time, probably further time skips and preparations and
Investigations
moving towards
into
endgame.
football.